Yes, good evening. Welcome to Villa Park on Radio 5 Sports Extra. Tonight I'm Alistair Bruce Ball. I've got the former Chelsea and Everton winger Pat Nevin alongside me here, and we're here to bring you full commentary of Aston Villa against Newcastle in the Premier League, kicking off in just under 5 minutes time. Villa start the night fourth in the table, just 5 points behind the leaders Liverpool, who don't play until tomorrow, and it's Villa's fabulous home form that has them right in the thick of this title race this season. 9 wins out of 10 here at Villa Park, including famous victories against Manchester City and Arsenal not too long ago. So tonight it's Newcastle who stand in the way. They thumped Villa 5-1 at St James's Park on the opening weekend of the season, but that seems an awfully long time ago right now, coming here on a run of 6 defeats in the last 7 Premier League games. The two sets of players are just waiting to make their entrance onto the pitch. Lights are dimmed, or the floodlights are dimmed. The lights attached to the roofs of the stands are flashing here. We've got the flames blasting out of the boxes as well, which seems to have become de rigueur at most Premier League grounds now this season. Pat Nevin, this atmosphere at Villa Park, and I've experienced it a couple of times this season, they are really enjoying their football, aren't they?
Yeah, they're loving it. I mean, generally, it's always famously been a great atmosphere in this place, and obviously the whole end in particular when you come here. As a player, it's always been there, but there's something extra special now because they are where they are, you know, those 43 points. It keeps on going, and I'm not saying it's disbelief, but they're loving every second while it lasts. And particularly, as everybody knows, the home form's been startling, and some of the games have been played at a tempo that's been staggering.
We've got fireworks going off from the roof of the stand now, Pat. There was a sort of coordinated light show which the fans seem to be taking part in with their mobile phones before the game as well.
I think it's I think they've kind of hooked into the internet here, and it takes over.
Wow.
And sends their cameras on so to the lights. It's an incredible thing to see, but you know, they actually don't need that, but it's okay.
Well, as Pat was saying, it's a famous old ground, one of the very best in England. I look away to my right-hand side. The giant two-tiered Holt End is absolutely packed to the rafters. The teams are out. There are 3 games in the Premier League already underway this evening. Commentary of Nottingham Forest against Arsenal is over on Radio 5 Live. That kicked off at 7:30. 5 minutes short of half-time, it's still goalless, as is Fulham Everton. Luton have raced into a first-half lead against Brighton. I think scored the first goal after 17 seconds there. They lead Brighton by 2-0. And Sheffield United scored 19 seconds into the first half at Crystal Palace, so they lead that one by 1-0. The two teams, 2 sets of players just going through the pre-match formalities. So many fireworks and so many flames thrown up into the air. There's a thick cloud of smoke that is drifting across Villa Park at the moment. Aston Villa players in the claret tracksuit tops, white shorts and light blue socks, just completing the handshakes and about to run off into the half away to our right. So the team news is very nice and simple, because from the FA Cup 4th round ties they played at the weekend, both teams are unchanged. Now, from Newcastle's point of view, that is pretty much needs must. Miguel Almiron missed the 2-0 win at Fulham through illness. He is available tonight, but he's only on the bench. But this Newcastle squad is really stretched, as it has been over the last couple of months. So Aston Villa have Emi Martinez in goal, back 4 of Matty Cash, Ezri Konsa, Clement Longley on loan from Barcelona, as he was at Tottenham last season, and Alex Moreno continues at left back. Luca Dean out injured at the moment. John McGinn, the skipper, Douglas Luiz, Boubacar Kamara and Yuri Tielemans keeps his place tonight. Only a 5th Premier League start of the season for him. Moussa Diaby supports Ollie Watkins up front. Ollie Watkins 1 short of 50 goals in the Premier League, but none in his last 6 and just 1 in his last 9. As for Newcastle, Martin Dubravka in goal. Very familiar back 4. Kieran Trippier, Sven Botman, Fabian Schär and Dan Burn. They're certainly going to be tested this evening. Sean Longstaff, Bruno Guimaraes and Lewis Miley, the 17-year-old. They make up the midfield 3. He has started 13 of the last 15 games in all competitions. I'm sure that wasn't the plan at the start of the season. Jacob Murphy wide right, Anthony Gordon on the left and Alexander Isak through the middle. And Pat, I know you've seen a fair bit of Newcastle United this season, and I've heard you on 5 Live and Sports Extra just talking about these players having to go to the well time and time again. It's the same starting 11 again. It has to be.
Yeah, and I mean, people say, well, they should be able to do it, but you can see there have been certain games where certain players have looked really quite out of it. Gordon, who's flying at the start of the season, he just looks a little bit, one-paced near the end of games. A couple of times they watched Bruno Guimaraes, who controls games, but there's been a few games, particularly game against Liverpool, they really worked hard, but they were out on their feet with 20 minutes to go. They were just running on empty. So they somehow have to get this back, and they're going to try it now.
John Brooks blows his whistle. The smoke continues to clear. Newcastle in the famous black and white stripes defending the goal away to our left-hand side in front of the north stand, and the ball immediately is played down the right-hand touchline by Fabian Schär. It is one for Jacob Murphy to chase. He's been caught offside. The flag is up, and so Aston Villa will get the first free kick of the game. So Villa starting the night, 4th place in this Premier League table, 5 points behind the leaders Liverpool, level on points with Manchester City and Arsenal. And Emi Martinez very coolly just passing the ball out from his 6-yard box. Ezri Konsa plays it forward. Moussa Diaby tries to lay it off to the right into the forward run of Matty Cash. Newcastle have won it back on the halfway line. It's played back to Schär again. Schär in his banana yellow boots plays across to Trippier inside his own half. Down the inside right channel it goes to Longstaff. Murphy has to stretch. Nice build up from Newcastle here. Guimaraes looking for the run of Murphy again down the right. Alex Moreno has it covered for Aston Villa. They're in the claret and blue this evening, so it's the blue sleeves, the claret bodies to the shirt, white socks, and the blue white shorts, I beg your pardon, and the blue socks. My breath was slightly taken away there by the coolness of Clement Longley with a little back heel in his own penalty area, pal.
There was times you weren't allowed to do that as a centre back. There's a lovely little drag back there. Really quite intrigued by how Newcastle are going to deal with a problem they've got. I'll tell you about it in a minute.
Yeah, ball over the top here, which John McGinn is chasing through. Martin Dubravka comes out to the edge of the area, clears with his right foot for Newcastle. Right,
so Newcastle in the recent play against Manchester City, they were absolutely destroyed because Manchester City found the pocket between the centre-backs and the deep-lying midfield player, which is Bruno Guimaraes. As I speak, what I'm going to explain to you just happened.
Yeah.
John McGinn dragging that into that area, and this meaning Dan Burn is having to come from left full-back and going into that area. It will leave a massive gap on the right-hand side, as it did against Manchester City. And I'm very intrigued to see how they deal with it, because in the end Burn didn't keep on going in there, and because he didn't go in there, then the players at Man City have in that area destroyed them. So John McGinn's doing exactly the same as Kevin De Bruyne did and as Foden did as well. You can tell these managers watch these games, can't you?
You can, Pat. That was a brutal ending actually to that game for Newcastle, because Kevin De Bruyne came off the bench, played just over 20 minutes, created that fabulous winner for Oscar Bob, having scored the equaliser for himself, and it sort of went to prove the point we were saying, Pat, that Newcastle, again, Eddie Howe didn't have the players off the bench to
he
change
didn't have
that.
But he couldn't make a technical change that could stop that happening. And if you looked where the ball has been picked up, and you can see right from the start here, Aston Villa are playing 2 up front. It's not Watkins with Diaby off him. It's 2 up front. So it asks the question on the low defender. So, he's very clever, Emery.
Matty Cash wins it off Anthony Gordon. Sliding challenge from Dan Burn. And the ball goes out for a throw into Newcastle inside their own half on the left. So 3 minutes played. Villa 0, Newcastle 0. Luton 2 up on Brighton. Sheffield United 1 up at Crystal Palace. Goalless between Fulham and Everton, and Nottingham Forest and Arsenal. And in the Championship tonight, the leaders Leicester are 1 up on Swansea after just over half an hour, and Coventry lead Bristol City by a 1-0. Alexander Isak chasing a through ball here. Longley sticks out a leg, clears it for Villa. Douglas Luiz just tries to bump Longstaff off the ball. He manages that, but Guimaraes is there for Newcastle. And it's played across to Dan Burn again in the left-back position. Here's Schär. Schär receives it from Botman. Schär has his head up, looks left and right. Sean Longstaff calls him for the pass, plays back to Schär. And inside his own half is Botman. And he's going to go for the long right-to-left diagonal, looking for the pace of Anthony Gordon. It drifts over the head of Matty Cash, bounces into the path of Gordon. Gordon plays a little pass down the left for his teammate Lewis Miley. Then a challenge in on Gordon. Gordon tumbles to the floor, and referee John Brooks says yes, that is a free kick for Newcastle, wide on the left. And actually Gordon, a little bit annoyed with the challenge, shrugs off the attempted apology from Kamara.
As I smile knowing what exactly happened there, Gordon gets the ball, and then just leans towards the player, takes the hit and then falls down. I mean, the referees absolutely fell for that hook, line and sinker, and that's why, like, obviously, if you're a defender, you're thinking, I'm just standing here, and the players just ran into me and then fell down. The referees fell for that.
Pat Nevin with us on Radio 5 Sports Extra tonight. Our listeners on Radio 5 Live will join us a little bit later on after the end of the Nottingham Forest Arsenal commentary. Here comes the free kick for Newcastle. Gordon dummies it. Trippier curls it into the penalty area. Ball runs loose. Diaby just plays it back towards Cash. First time pass from him is crisp. And then it's Yuri Tielemans trying to get away down the right. He goes down and doesn't win a free kick this time. But Aston Villa do, in the end, win the throw, and Diaby just drops that at his feet. Cash sprints forward, hurls it down the right-hand side. Watkins chases, well covered by Botman, and Botman knocks it out for another throw to Villa. Pat Nevin.
It's been a really good pace to this game, hasn't it? I mean, it started off quite a few Premier League games you come to see, and, you know, they test each other out, they play it slowly around the back quite a bit. They started off at a good pace. There's no great chance it's been created yet. But you can see these are two teams that want to go and win this game. It's not about Newcastle coming here and hoping to play in the break now and again. It's a quite open game.
Byrne volleys the ball away. Villa pick up possession on the halfway line. McGinn, low pass into the feet of Tielemans, casually lays it off to the bearded Douglas Luiz. He comes wide to bearded teammate Moreno. Back to Luiz, into the feet of Tielemans. Tielemans lays it off to Luiz, goes trotting into that little bit of space between Newcastle's midfield and the back four, but Villa play back. And here's Kamara, curls a pass down the right, well controlled by Matty Cash, laid off to Moussa Diaby. He's going to have a dribble at Dan Byrne. Byrne gets a foot in, and Villa win their first corner of the evening. 6 minutes played, it's Villa 0, Newcastle 0.
Very decent breakdown there. It's very noticeable when Villa are in attacking mode. I mean, I watched Liverpool the weekend there. When they were in attacking mode, they've got 6 men along the front line. It's an extraordinary way they play. Well, Villa on this occasion had 5.
Corner then for Aston Villa in front of this north stand away to our left. Captain John McGinn raises his right arm in the air, curls it in towards the near post. Dan Byrne stoops. Has to stoop for quite a lot of things as Dan Byrne, but he has to stoop for that cross. Powerfully heads it away, throw into Villa on the right.
It is very noticeable when you look at the two teams, differential with the heights. You don't think that Villa are going to score that many putting the ball in for corner kicks there, because there's lots of height and power in that Newcastle team, so maybe they have to look to short corners and changing the angle a little bit. On the other hand, that may be a good attack method for Newcastle. Yeah,
Cash's throw into the penalty area. Ollie Watkins can't quite bring the ball under control. Dan Byrne clears first time. Alexander Isak, arms pumping, sprinting hard, chases Konza. Konza is able to play the ball back to his goalkeeper, Emi Martinez, all in light green. Short sleeve goalkeeping shirt for him, then a right-footed ball is way beyond Yuri Tielemans. If it was meant for Tielemans, must have been. He's the only player out there, and it's gone straight out for a throw-in. And Unai Emery, the Villa boss, comes dancing down the touchline in front of us and is frantically waving at a couple of his players to try and get them in position to defend this Newcastle throw. Trippier holds the ball above his head into Guimaraes. Guimaraes back to Trippier, plays across his own half. Lewis Miley is there, back to Botman, and out it goes on the left to Dan Byrne. But a space in front of him, but immediately passes it forward to Anthony Gordon. Gordon has a chance to run at Cash, instead just slides a pass beyond him, wide to Miley. Miley plays back to Gordon, one touch from him, and then a right-footed cross is driven deep to the edge of the penalty area. Trippier controls it, Tielemans right in his face. Back it comes to Cher. Cher's left-footed ball over the top, and Cash just dinks a little header into his own penalty area, and Martinez, quick off the mark, comes and grabs it.
That was very cool, wasn't it? The ball looked as if it was going over his head, and most players would just try and get rid of it as much as possible. He's cushioned a little header back to his goalkeeper without looking behind him, knowing that there was a player in the vicinity, but just believed in his goalkeeper, and it was another confident play there.
Emi Martinez clears. Dan Byrne wins the aerial battle against Moussa Diaby as you'd expect him to. The ball bounces just short of the halfway line. John McGinn tries to hold Byrne off. He's lost it. Longstaff passes it forward. Jacob Murphy has got the speed to get to this, runs round the ball, controls it down by the dead ball line on the right. Cross comes in, headed away by Longley, falls on the edge of the penalty area. Guimaraes reacts quickly, plays back to Trippier. That's a high looping cross from Trippier. Anthony Gordon will bring it under control, but has to run out of the Villa penalty area. Passes here to Miley, his cross is blocked, and Newcastle get the corner.
Very noticeable when Gordon and Miley, they work so well together, always looking for each other, always running off each other, and I mean, you say that as if, that should happen all the time. There's plenty of Premier League teams just now that get fullbacks and wide attackers who don't work with each other, who don't understand, who don't work off each other. Those two have got a great developing understanding.
I think we've seen that already 2 or 3 times in the first 9 minutes of this game. Villa 0, Newcastle 0. So corner for Newcastle to come in from the left.
They have got such a high advantage.
Yeah, and Trippier's got such good delivery. They go short though to Gordon. Trippier runs behind Gordon, receives the ball from him. Then the cross is attempted from a different angle, but it's blocked at close range. Volleyed forward to the edge of the penalty area. Watkins is there for Villa, nods it away. Cash here plays it to McGinn. McGinn immediately tries to get Diaby away down the right. Newcastle intercept. Here's Longstaff. Newcastle can start to build from inside their own half, and Bruno Guimaraes, one of those players who's just had to go and go and go all season. What a ball over the top to Isak, tried to bring it down first time and it just got away from him and skipped into the arms of Emi Martinez.
That was a little quarterback, wasn't it? He just dropped into the pocket there, De Bruyne style in many ways, clipped it over the top, and he is millimetres away from putting Isak through. And again, players who have understanding of each other. Every time that Guimaraes gets the ball with a little bit of space in the pocket, you'll see Isak making the run.
Alexander Isak, your man through the middle for Newcastle. Callum Wilson, one of those still out injured. That injury list for Newcastle at the moment, I've got it down as Nick Pope, which is why Martin Dubravka's in goal. Matt Targett's still out. Jamal Lascelles has been out with a calf injury. Joe Linton has had surgery on a thigh problem. Elliot Anderson's barely been seen this season. Sandro Tonali unable to play for different reasons. Joe Willock and Harvey Barnes as well. That is what Eddie Howe is dealing with. Here's Longley for Villa. Cross to Douglas Luiz. They come back to the goalkeeper, Martinez. Martinez sizing up his options. Low pass to his left, then Longley just chips one down the inside left channel. Watkins is challenged by Cher, and Cher gets clean contact on the ball, and it goes out for a throw-in to Aston Villa.
Has settled down to a little bit of a rhythm now. You know what the teams are doing now. I think they've worked each other out, what they're trying to do, and I'm looking down there to see if there's any changes that is going to be made, particularly by Unai Emery. I can see that he's shouting over towards that midfield because he's the one that adapted his system at the start. But so far, McGinn's moved a little bit nearer the middle again.
3 goals at Selhurst Park in the first 25 minutes of the game tonight. Crystal Palace 1, Sheffield United 2. That is available as a commentary online. So all these games, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, available as commentaries on the BBC network, whether it's on 5 Live as Nottingham Forest Arsenal is tonight. Sports Extra, we're here for Villa Newcastle. The other games available as commentaries online, and Luton 2-0 up against Brighton currently, about 5 minutes to play in the first half there. Cher volleys it forward. That was a clearance really. It goes flying past Isak, bounces once into the arms of Martinez. He slings it out. Trippier immediately comes rushing forward to close down Moreno. Moreno goes back to Longley, back to Martinez again. Martinez drives it forward with his right foot. Header easily won by Botman, laid off by Miley in midfield. Villa break play up. They're trying to bring it away with Douglas Luiz. Newcastle are there first. Here's Guimaraes. Guimaraes' pass across this pristine pitch, which was one of the very first things, Pat, that caught your eye when we sat down in the commentary position this evening.
Yeah, the end of January. You're thinking, what's the pitch going to be like? Like a bowling green once again, as it always is. I'm very impressed actually, just Newcastle, brought under a little bit of pressure early on, trying to close them down high up the pitch. Aston Villa, they've played it out well, they've looked comfortable in the ball. There's a little bit of bite back in that midfield at the moment, so Newcastle, they've had a tiring time, but there has been this little break.
Yeah,
I think that seems to have helped them a bit.
Yeah, much needed win came at Fulham on Saturday night in the FA Cup 4th round. Blackburn beat Wrexham in the 4th round last night. So Newcastle go to Ewood Park in the 5th round. Isak's popped up on the left hand side here, received the pass from Cher, played it to Miley. Miley's crossed towards the far post, is just beyond the sliding attempt from Jacob Murphy, who gives his teammate the thumbs up, but it's gone behind for a goal kick to Villa. Pat Nevin.
It was the ease in which they got beyond that back line. Lots and lots of space out on the left here. Miley always a willing runner, definitely onside. He doesn't look, he just swings he's got his back almost to the play, swings it into the middle, doesn't quite get enough curl on it, but that's actually a very good move, and they cut through that defence quite easily.
Villa 0, Newcastle 0. 10 teams have visited Villa Park in the Premier League so far this season. 9 of them have been beaten, including Manchester City and Arsenal. The only team not to be beaten at Villa Park this season in the Premier League Sheffield United, one of Pat's former clubs. Everton actually won here, but in the League Cup. In the Premier League, 9 wins and a draw for Aston Villa, and Villa concede a free kick on the halfway line. Challenge on, is it Guimaraes who went down? It is Guimaraes who was caught by Boubacar Kamara. That's his job for Aston Villa, Kamara, to get stuck in and break play up, and he was doing exactly that.
Yeah, and he's claiming he didn't kick, but Guimaraes, well, we've got a replay here. You did, mate. Twice.
Luton 3, Brighton 0, Pat. I mean, Luton at Kenilworth Road are a force to be reckoned with, actually.
A number of teams, including Everton, who are very, very worried about it just now.
Yes, chip ball over the top. Trippier could be in behind it. Little touch from him, trying to find Isak. Might be able to lay it back into his path. Isak keeps it for himself. Can't get the shot away. Tielemans is there to clear up for Villa. And down the left-hand touchline it goes. Watkins jumps in the air, then jumps for his own header. Beaten by Fabian Schär. Ball goes miles up in the air again. Watkins wins another header. Struggling to get the ball down on the floor here. Watkins plays it back to Tielemans, pinging around between Newcastle and Villa. Then Moussa Diaby's onto it, and what a pass that is. Straight across the halfway line, pinpoint between Newcastle players to find Cash. Cash back to Kamara. Villa just slow it down for a second. Kamara at walking speed gives it to his midfield partner Douglas Luiz. They exchange a couple of 1-2s, and then Douglas Luiz comes trotting across the halfway line towards us and finds Longley. Longley sees Moreno starting his run down the left. Moreno's got away from Trippier here. Trippier now closes the ground down between them. Moreno heads for the byline. Trippier sticks out a right leg and does well to block the cross, and then the pass from Murphy goes beyond him and Villa get the ball back.
A good 10-minute spell, I would say, here for Newcastle. Villa need to liven themselves up, because the better chances are being created at the moment. Not clear cut again, but getting themselves into very good positions, Newcastle, and this crowd hasn't been silenced, but it's been quieting quite a bit.
Alex Moreno, who is a very attacking left back for Aston Villa, very much in the mould of Luca Dean. Unai Emery has 2 great options in that position. McGinn chips the ball onto the chest of Moreno. Jacob Murphy's back to help out for Newcastle. Moreno just comes back to the corner of the penalty area, finds Douglas Luiz, deep curling ball to the far post. Dan Burn leaps and heads it away, only to the feet of Kamara. Diaby's quickly there to offer him a pass. Back it comes to McGinn, crossing to the Newcastle box. Trippier read that well, jumping backwards, heads it away, but Tielemans is onto the clearance, and Aston Villa just building a little bit momentum in this attack. McGinn, lovely turn on the edge of the penalty area, turns again. A couple of attempted challenges on him, but they couldn't get the ball off him. And here's Tielemans, just casually, dismissively flicks it with the outside of his right foot, and then McGinn's pass is not going to find Matty Cash, and Newcastle clear, and Cash has to get back and just side foot a ball back into his own half.
But they do look better when McGinn's central. At the moment he started out, they played almost a 4-4-2, and McGinn for a lot of time has been wider, coming in, late on in the play, trying to get the ball in that position. But in actual fact, he's been peripheral to it, and I think most Aston Villa fans will tell you he has to be more central to their play, so we'll see if that's changed.
Martinez with the free kick for Aston Villa, cleared forward, initially headed away, but now Matty Cash, first time ball. Moussa Diaby in behind the Newcastle defence, cross into the near post, intercepted. Ollie Watkins was waiting if he had been able to find a way through. Lovely touch and turn from Gordon, but Newcastle have lost it again. Kamara outside of the right foot finds Diaby, gets it back to Kamara, bouncing around again inside the Newcastle box, and eventually Fabian Schär just puts a left foot on it, clears up towards Gordon, and there's a thumping challenge from John McGinn on Anthony Gordon. The pair of them shake hands, but that woke the Villa crowd up.
Well, for a number of reasons. A, they love John McGinn, they love the tackle. You don't see many meaty challenges like that these days, and obviously on that far side, I don't think those Villa fans are enamoured by Anthony Gordon.
Newcastle very nearly giving the ball away inside their own half there. Kieran Trippier is able to tidy things up. So we're 18 minutes in at Villa Park. Villa 0, Newcastle 0. And it's been a good watch so far, so we hope you're enjoying the listen. Longstaff, his clearance is blocked. Douglas Luiz closed that down. Byrne plays it back to Botman. Botman scoops a clearance away with his left foot. Kamara does well to win the header. Beats Miley in the air. Here's McGinn. Strokes his pass to Tielemans. Tricky one for him to bring down under pressure, but he did so. It's now Crystal Palace 2, Sheffield United 2. Luton 3, Brighton 0, and Fulham Everton's reached half-time. That's 0-0, as is Nottingham Forest Arsenal. Here's Cash. Cash on the right. Anthony Gordon back in his way, blocking his path. So it's played back to Kamara, to McGinn, to Luiz. And Luiz was looking for the run of Diaby. Diaby ran away from him, and the pass ended up short. So Miley is able to bring it up towards the halfway line for Newcastle. into the feet of Gordon. Gordon turns and plays back into his own half. One away win for Newcastle so far this season in the Premier League. I was there to witness it. It was a big one. It was 8-0 at Sheffield United. But other than that, for Newcastle, away from home, 2 draws and 7 defeats.
Yeah, basically it's hard to win away from home in the Premier League. You're absolutely right, but they have underperformed away from home.
Oh, Murphy's ball is a fabulous one to Anthony Gordon. Holds off Konsa, works it onto his right foot, beats a defender, tries to find the bottom corner, shots blocked, so he plays it back to Miley. Then an effort. Oh, he's curled wide from Isak from the 45-degree angle, edge of the box, and that was a very good chance for Newcastle to take the lead.
By some distance, the best chance of the game so far. Ball played over the top. They are playing a very high line, Aston Villa. Gordon's got pace, we know that. First touch, it doesn't get away from the defender. I mean, it makes very good space by taking 2 defenders out of the play, but by that time, he's not only got the 2 defenders in front of him, he's a goalkeeper as well. But by a distance, the best chance of the game so far.
20 minutes played. Pat Nevin watching with us here at Villa Park. Emi Martinez, Gordon came sliding in to try and nick the ball off him. Martinez played it away in time. Moreno's ball up towards Watkins. Watkins is able to control it. Then look for a pass inside his own half to Moreno. He's run into a little tight spot there, closed down by Jacob Murphy. So comes back to Louise. Louise's long ball over the top. Matty Cash was nearly in behind. Dan Burn stuck out an enormous long leg to get a very important touch on the ball. It's out for a Villa throw.
Don't you just hate it when left backs do that to you? He's long-legged ones, you think you're away, but he's, what is he, 6'6", 6'7", something like that, and those long legs just got a toe in there. It's amazing how often Dan Burn does that.
Matty Cash thought he was in. Villa have taken their throw back into their own half. Here's Konsa. Konsa across to Kamara, runs away from Gordon, then tries to get past Miley, lays the ball off to McGinn, across to Louise, 10 yards inside the Newcastle half, threads it forward to Tielemans to Diaby. Diaby's cut back looking for Watkins, and I know Pat Nevin's going to say, why didn't he shoot?
Me and 20,000 other people around here saying shoot, and he's cut it across. And I mean, we're not at the best angle here, there might have been someone in the way, but he is at a slightly acute angle, but there's a shot on there. You basically ping that across the goalkeeper. If he saves it, you've got players running in. I mean, it's page 1, sentence 1, chapter 1, everything. You do that when you're in that position. Hit it low and hard across the goalkeeper. It might go in, and they had a centre forward following up, and that's in the last few minutes. Well, both teams have had their best opportunities of the game.
Yeah, great chances at either end. That one for Diaby. Moments before it was Gordon for Newcastle. Cash, good sliding challenge from Dan Burn, stops him in his tracks. Miley gets onto it for Newcastle. Then Isak, just inside his own half, picks the ball up. He's wide on the left here, dances past McGinn. Inside the Villa half now, back into midfield to Guimaraes. Guimaraes, the Brazilian, back to Cher. Cher's curling ball, asking Trippier to chase down the right. Tielemans comes racing towards him, just bumps Trippier off the ball with his left shoulder. Feeds Longley inside the Villa penalty area. What a poor clearance or pass that is. That's going to run to Isak in the end. He couldn't quite control it on the edge of the box, and Konsa is able to get it away for Villa. Diaby will chase that, but Botman's got it covered and comes back to his goalkeeper, Martin Dubravka.
Yeah, both teams, you say they want to be attack minded. Both teams are playing high lines, and the amount of times that there is a ball in over the top, they trust their defenders to be quick enough to do it. But you watch Isak, I mean, he is very, very quick when he gets going. We know Anthony Gordon is very quick when he gets going, and Watkins, he lives in that area. He wants teams to play offside against him, so you get the feeling, if not a goal, there's certainly going to be more chances than that simple single ball over the top.
Half-time in the 2 championship games tonight. Coventry 1, Bristol City 1 now, and Leicester still leading Swansea by 1-0. I was listening to the Monday Night Club on 5 Live last night while doing my notes for this game. The Coventry boss Mark Robbins, an excellent guest. That's available on the Football Daily podcast feed if you didn't manage to hear it and want to go back and have a listen. And of course, all the reaction to tonight's games, post-match reaction, debate, analysis will be in the Football Daily podcast there for you on the BBC Sounds app. Wednesday morning's the day the Women's Football Weekly comes out on that thread as well. And talking women's football, Chelsea very comfortable winners away to Paris FC tonight in their group in the Champions League, already comfortably through as group winners and enjoying themselves in the French capital. Moreno to Louise for Villa. Louise across to Kamara. Newcastle in the black and white stripes have all backed off and dropped just inside their own half. So Kamara has the freedom of the Villa half just to find Louise. Louise plays a 1-2 with Longley. And then Louise just comes creeping forward and sweeps it out to Moreno on the left. Moreno scurries forward 15 yards, stops, plays back to Douglas Luiz, across to McGinn. McGinn dummied a first time ball there, then just trod on the ball to control it. Across to Kamara, lofted ball forward to Watkins, who will chase it. Dubravka comes across and is able to keep it in play and wants to get Newcastle on the front foot quickly. Scottish Premiership tonight. Aberdeen lead Dundee by 1-0. Livingston 1, Ross County 1. Botman clears. Louise heads to his left and Kamara very nearly gave the ball away to Isak, and Esri Konza just glided in and took it away from him.
He is a lovely player, Konza, isn't he? I mean, whether it's full back or centre back.
Diaby forward to Tielemans. Moreno starts to make a run on the left. Here is Moreno, cut back into the box, intercepted by Guimaraes and brought away for Newcastle by Scher. Across to Gordon, under pressure inside his own half. Space closed very quickly around him then. Aston Villa have won the ball from Newcastle inside that Newcastle half. Across to Douglas Luiz. Forward to McGinn. McGinn 40 yards from goal in a central position. Finds Kamara. Kamara gives it back to him. McGinn lets the ball run across his body. Shields his opponent from it and then finds Moreno on the left. Moreno dummies the cross, tries to drag it past Trippier, plays back to Douglas Luiz, and that's a good looking ball to Matty Cash inside the Newcastle area. Cash, Dan Burn in front of him, just trying to wriggle and find himself a little bit of space. Cash hits a left-footed shot, Dubravka saves. It was straight at him.
Yeah, he's claiming for a penalty kick there, Cash, but he smashed the ball from absolutely no distance against Burn. I don't even think and it also came off Miley anyway, so there's no way that's a handball. It did hit the hand, but it's come off the defender, and it's definitely not a penalty kick. But you know, looking a little bit livelier again now, as I mentioned before. McGinn, he's now moved centrally when they're on the ball, and they look much better. Aston Villa looks have got a bit more creativity about it, and it allows Matty Cash to hammer down that line, and he's spending most of his time playing against Dan Burn, who he's not getting forward as usual, is he?
No, he's not, Pat. He's not. Talking John McGinn, by the way, and just having Pat sitting alongside me here, makes me think of Friday, June the 14th. Put that date in your diary. Pat and I are going to be commentating on Scotland against Germany in the first game of the Euros this summer, in which, if John McGinn stays fit, he is absolutely bound to feature, and that is a very exciting prospect. This is Villa 0, Newcastle 0. Anthony Gordon. Now Dan Burn is going beyond him here on the left hand side. Gordon plays infield to Miley. Miley just inside the Villa penalty area, looks for the cross to the far post. That cross is blocked and it goes behind for a Newcastle corner.
Villa fans are not happy at all. It's that classic one with McGinn up the far side of the pitch. He just puts his, there's no other way of saying it, he puts his backside in the way, takes the hit and goes down. Whereas the referee gave a free kick to Gordon when he did that. He didn't give it, in this case, to McGinn. I was going to say referees. I think everybody in the football world knows what McGinn's doing now.
Corner then for Newcastle. Kieran Trippier, 7 assists to his name in the Premier League so far this season. None in the last 7 games, though. Here's a chance possibly to create something. It's going to come in from Newcastle's left flank in towards the near post. Dan Burn does get a head on the ball but can't direct it anywhere near the target. It just balloons off his head and goes behind for a goal kick to Villa.
Do you know, the player that you kind of look out for him, you mentioned that Watkins hasn't scored for us at 6 games, something like that, and he's not getting as many chances at the moment. And I'm trying to wonder why. Yes, he's been marked closely, but he's playing against a team where he can run in behind, but he really hasn't been getting as many chances, or look to me as if he's been getting as many chances. And sometimes strikers just have those periods. They don't know what they're doing differently. They're running all the same ways, but just not quite looking quite as sharp at the moment.
Martinez, Villa's keeper, chips the ball to the right. Matty Cash leaps to head it forward. Diaby puts Burn under pressure, and Burn, slightly off balance, just knocks the ball down the left-hand touchline and straight out of play for a throw-in to Villa.
I suppose one of the things he is missing tonight is Leon Bailey.
Yes.
Bailey's pace just stretches everybody and it creates space all over the place. And although they're not sluggish up there, Bailey's special, you know, with his pace and his ability to go by players.
Yeah, there have been occasions recently when Unai Emery's gone for Bailey and Diaby. Bailey's on the bench tonight. Newcastle coming forward here. Jacob Murphy gets it from Isak. Murphy runs to the right, drives the shot low. Martinez palms it into the box, and that's a really good challenge from Clement Longley. Longstaff came charging into the box to try and finish the rebound. It's broken to Gordon on the left. Curling ball into the far post. More defending for Villa to do. Jacob Murphy trying to win it, and Martinez, all arms and legs, just dives at his feet and eventually gets on top of that ball.
Well, Martinez didn't cover himself glory with the first save there, but we'll get back to that in a moment.
Yeah, brilliant distribution from the Argentine keeper. Found John McGinn racing forward. McGinn's played it to Watkins. We're now inside the Newcastle penalty area. Villa 0, Newcastle 0. Tielemans to Douglas Luiz. Luiz chip ball. Kamara stretches, gets a foot on the ball, but just spoons it up in the air, and Dubravka grabs it.
Oh, it's a lovely run from Kamara. He's obviously the most deep line midfielder most of the time there, but he sprinted about 70 yards there and got onto the end of the ball, but he just couldn't get control of it. Lovely move there, done the length of the pitch. To go back to Martinez's save beforehand, that wasn't great. He shoveled the ball out. I think he's misread it.
Yeah, but it's part of the reason as well, Pat. You know, when Moussa Diaby was down this end and didn't shoot, Jacob Murphy took a chance there, and that's what happens if you take a chance.
Yeah. And Martinez seemed to be caught in two minds of what to do with it, and he moved. It's unusual to see a goalkeeper move late, and he moved very, very late on it, and he just shoveled it out into the most dangerous area.
Konza striding forward, lovely ball with the outside of his right foot. Matty Cash speeding down the right for Villa, low ball in again, looking for Watkins. Cross doesn't find him. Two Newcastle defenders were there. Guimaraes starts to charge towards the halfway line, then a lofted ball and a really good ball into the path of Anthony Gordon, away from Konza, steps inside him, right footed shot deflected over the bar, and that'll be behind for a corner to Newcastle. And Anthony Gordon's reaction tells you, had that not taken the deflection, he thinks he would have scored.
Didn't I mention a few moments ago that balls over the top with high defences are going to lead to chances here? How many times has it happened? It's happened 4 or 5 times actually since I've said that. And for both sides, it's leading to an exciting game, but the forwards must be thinking, I'm loving this.
Yeah, great to watch for us as well. As Pat Nevin's been explaining, both teams defending high up the pitch, and with the pace they've got, both front lines, there are chances aplenty for these two teams. No goals as yet, half an hour in, just over half an hour in. Radio 5 Sports Extra, Villa 0, Newcastle 0. Kieran Trippier is now our side of the field, in front of that giant Holt end, to take this corner with his right foot. In it goes, and it ends up in the back of the net. Newcastle have the lead. It's Fabian Schär who gets on the end of it, met it sweetly with his right foot, thumps it into the bottom corner, and Aston Villa's fabulous home record is now under threat this evening. It's Villa 0, Newcastle 1.
Well, I mentioned earlier on about the height difference from corner kicks, the fact that Newcastle had that. Didn't need the height there. The ball was played in, and he's got a tap in. It's gone over absolutely everyone, and he's come in, and he's on the 6-yard line, and it's on the ground when it comes to him. And it's just, it seems to me as if he's almost half volleyed it or volleyed it on the full home. But that's not a good piece of defending from the Aston Villa defence. If someone has to go and attack it, no one has. He's finished that like a striker, hasn't he?
Yeah, he ends up standing next to Douglas Luiz and Ezri Konza. Luiz, I think, was following him, and Konza's just sort of standing next to him, and I'm not sure what he was expecting to do there, Konza, but Schär just stepped onto it, as you say, Pat, and just thumped it in the bottom corner.
I mean, you look at it, I mean, if you're going to do man-to-man marking, you want them much better than that. If you're going to do it zonally, that's the zone that you defend. So that's bad defending. Whatever way they're doing it there, neither has worked, even close to working there. So Aston Villa down now. I would say probably shaded out over the piece. Newcastle United probably deserve it, but this doesn't look to me like a game that's finished in terms of goals. Schär's
first Premier League goal of this season, one goal in the Champions League earlier on in the campaign in that fantastic 4-1 win at home against Paris Saint-Germain, but that's the first one in the Premier League for him tonight, as Newcastle go looking for only a second away win of the season, and their fans are pretty much opposite us in one corner of the ground here, in that lower tier and top tier, in fact, of the Doug Ellis stand over the opposite side of the field to us. And they're in fine voice, as you can hear, because Newcastle lead by a goal to nil, 12 minutes remaining in the first half. They've got about half an hour left at the City ground. It's Forest 0, Arsenal 0. Fulham 0, Everton 0 is a half-time scoreline, as is Luton 3, Brighton 0. and Palace 2, Sheffield United 2, as Douglas Luiz plays it forward to Ollie Watkins. Ollie Watkins trying to run away from Botman. Botman just had the strength to stick with him and play the ball back to Cher. Cher across to Trippier. Trippier goes wide to Murphy. Murphy's ball to Longstaff, who's the willing runner down the right-hand side. Head up all the time here, Longstaff, looking for another run from Murphy. Murphy's cross comes in towards the far post. Cash slides in to block it. Anthony Gordon was waiting to stick it away at the far post. Newcastle get a corner.
You know, great lift that Newcastle have got for that. I say they were biting into the challenges beforehand. They look livelier to me than they have done for quite some time. Yeah, they did well against Fulham. But, you know, back in the Premier League now, they seem to have got that injection of pace. Whether they can keep that going for the entirety of the game, using these same players again, we shall see.
6 defeats in the last 7 Premier League games for Newcastle, but 1-0 up tonight at Villa Park. And they've got a corner. It's going to come in again from exactly the same side from where they just scored from. Trippier's delivery, this time into the near post. Gordon's going to volley one, takes a big deflection, comes off the bar, and the rebound is stuck into the back of the net. And Newcastle now lead by 2-0, and Fabian Cher has scored both of them. Acting like a proper centre forward there, just reacting to the loose ball in the box. He was left all alone, couldn't miss from 2 yards out. Villa 0, Newcastle 2.
Well, he didn't clear it particularly well, Aston Villa. It's another corner kick. It's from the right-hand side again. Haven't dealt with it particularly well, but Anthony Gordon, he doesn't wait. He thinks, well, I'm going to have a go. And it takes a deflection, hits off the crossbar. I thought for a moment it had gone in. It hadn't done. But you're right, sure, they're asking for offside there. Not a chance in the world, because there's a player lying on the goal, on the byline there as well. Keeper can't do that. It's about that. It's off the underside of the bar. But centre forwards always want to be in the right place at the right time. You look at Watkins not getting near there. You should have a look at Fabian Cher.
Yes,
he's doing all the right things.
Gordon took a chance with his right foot. The volley on target took a slight deflection off Longley. Spun up, hit the crossbar, came back off Emi Martinez's back, and there was Fabian Cher following in to stick it away. So 2 goals in the space of a few minutes for him, just waiting for the game to get back underway.
Well, all the players know it's okay. Everyone's ready for it. It's one of these, well, I could be wrong, but I could see absolutely nothing wrong with that goal there.
Nothing's come up on our monitor as yet. Pat Nevin, as ever, spot on. Radio 5 Sports Extra. And this game has changed in a very short space of time. Cher with 2 goals. Villa 0, Newcastle 2. Dubravka under pressure from Watkins. Ball spinning around by his feet. Eventually just had to slice it away and out for a throw-in to Villa on the right.
Right, well, I'm looking down here at Unai Emery. Now he's going to have to make some changes now, because it's not working for him. They're not creating enough chances. They've created a few, but he's come out with a plan. He'll have to rethink it. Does he wait until half-time?
Oh, Konsa's given the ball away. Newcastle vibrant at the moment. Anthony Gordon's lost it though, and John McGinn steps in to sort it out for Villa. Not only that, opens it up for Moreno. Moreno charging forward down the inside left channel, past Longstaff, using speed here, heading for the byline, stops, plays back to Watkins. Watkins in turn passes to Luiz, across to McGinn, 25 yards from goal, plays it to Kamara. Black and white shirts lined across the face of the Newcastle penalty areas. Luiz strokes a pass out to Moreno. Moreno's low cross into the Newcastle box. And Botman's there this time with his left foot to clear on the half volley. Konsa slips, but he's able to play the ball while he's on the floor and plays back to Longley. Here's McGinn. Again, sweet pass to Tielemans. Quickly on to Moreno. Moreno holding both arms out as if to say, where are my runners? How can I get that ball in? Luiz to McGinn. McGinn out wide to Moreno again, level with the edge of the Newcastle penalty area. 2 step overs from the Spaniard. Tielemans comes running behind him to offer support. Tielemans gets it, plays back to McGinn, central position again, 25 yards out, into Watkins, back to Kamara. Gordon takes it off him, he drags Gordon back. That'll be a free kick for Newcastle, who lead 2-0.
He's very lucky not to get booked for that as well. I mean, it's an obvious drag back there. The referee's gone over and had a word and say you're lucky there. But Gordon's looking very lively, isn't he? But he knows the man who's marking him is going to go. Cash is going to keep on going, so he knows there's gaps to run into. Just go back to that Moreno moment there, holding his arms out wide.
Yeah.
I would be absolutely hammering him if I was playing in his team just now. He's having a shout. We'll go back to the free kick in a minute. By the way, not the first time Kamara. Going to get a yellow card and deserves it. Can't keep on doing that all day, right? So he's going to get a yellow card. The likes of Moreno. He goes down the left wing and he puts his arms out and says, well, no one's running for me. Tell you what, mate, you try to go and kick the ball with your right foot now and again, because everybody knows what you're going to do. That's why you've not got a pass on, because you're only going one direction.
Yeah.
So don't complain about others' weaknesses. It's your weakness that's the problem there. Can you tell I don't particularly like players that do that, holding their arms out and blaming others?
I've got it, Pat. I've got it.
Good.
Guimaraes had his foot trodden on there by Boubacar Kamara. Quite a dramatic reaction to it, but looked like a sore one. So yellow card, as Pat was explaining, for Kamara. And Aston Villa in a spot of bother at home tonight. Weren't necessarily expecting this. 9 wins, 1 draw so far at Villa Park in the Premier League this season, but tonight they trail Newcastle by 2-0. The last team to win here in the Premier League were Arsenal back in February 2023. So Villa unbeaten going into this one in their last 17 Premier League games at home, 16 wins and the 1 draw against Sheffield United. But tonight, 2-0 down against this Newcastle team. Here's Martinez inside his 6-yard box, right-footed pass, zips it out to Longley. Longley's curling ball forward towards Watkins, can't control that, tries to turn and run beyond Fabian Schär. Schär's fouled him, free kick Villa, and Alexander Isak has sat down, Pat. Now that's got to be a worry for Newcastle, with Callum Wilson out injured as well at the moment.
That is not good news for them at all, because it seems to be off the ball. It didn't look to me to be a kick in any way, so that might be some sort of pull that he's got. The referee's not spotted him yet. He's had a look round now. He's going to stop the game. He has to stop the game now.
Yeah.
Well, the game has stopped, but he's going to have to let him on. And he doesn't look as if he's rolling around in agony, which is not always a great sign. I know it sounds really odd to say that, but if you go down like that, you felt something go. And whether he's looking at his left knee just now, he's not giving too much away. You can usually look at the physio running on there. He's not moving much. That doesn't look like a player who wants to go. I think he's going to be getting off. And
I was just about to say to you as well, Pat, because I was looking down at the team sheet thinking what are Newcastle going to do, and the first thing I've seen on the screen here is Eddie Howe talking to Anthony Gordon. That's the obvious move, isn't it? Gordon through the middle.
Absolute stick on. Nothing more obvious than that. And when you've got the option, you obviously can bring Almer on, who will come on. He could actually come on. You just move him out to one of the wide areas, and you're not adapting the team too much. He doesn't want to do anything extreme with the team, does he? You're 2-0 up. You're playing well just now. You're making the opposition look relatively toothless.
So Alexander Isak is on his feet. He has this member of the Newcastle medical team just walking alongside him.
Surely he's not coming back. The way he's walking doesn't look good. I mean, he's not limping and carrying off in stretchers, but there's a certain way that footballers walk. You think, you've hurt yourself. You know that might be a wee while.
Well, he joins a long list of injured players for Newcastle. Now he's moving relatively untroubled, but clearly there is something that is bothering him and he can't continue, and he looks pretty forlorn. Shakes his head as he goes past us. Miguel Almiron does come on. Anthony Gordon goes through the middle, exactly as Pat was saying. Almiron will start over wide on the left-hand side where Gordon was. I can tell you Arsenal are 1-up at Nottingham Forest midway through the second half. Commentary game over on 5 Live at the moment. Gabriel Jesus has scored. Forest 0, Arsenal 1. So Arsenal starting the night like Villa on 43 points, 5 points behind Liverpool, 1-up at Forest, and Villa here 2-0 down at home against Newcastle.
That's even more bad news for Aston Villa fans. I mean, they really would love to get back into this game. I mean, if they could get a goal back before half time, there's 2 or 3 minutes left, but there'll be a few minutes added on top of that with a couple of injuries that we've had. But they have looked quite toothless. And you're talking about substitutions there, and we've not been that clever guessing what was going to happen there. However, Leon Bailey, you've got to expect he'll be on the start of the second half.
Tomorrow night, by the way, more Premier League football across the BBC. Manchester City Burnley kicks off at 7:30. That is a commentary on Radio 5 Sports Extra. Tottenham against Brentford is available online via the BBC Sports website and app. 5 Live's commentary tonight kicks off at 8:15. Tomorrow night, that is Liverpool against Chelsea at Anfield. John Murray and Chris Sutton, your commentary team for that one. Here's Fabian Schär. Scored both goals tonight. Plays forward to Longstaff. Newcastle looking very confident and flowing freely as they work the ball to the left. Miley's pass is controlled by Almiron. Byrne goes thundering past him. Almiron plays it infield here to Guimaraes. Guimaraes is ball in towards the far post. Anthony Gordon looks to try and bring it down, can't do so. Tielemans plays a little 1-2 with Douglas Luiz, then dribbles into trouble. Gordon coming back to try and win it for Newcastle. Kamara gets away from him. Good skills from Boubacar Kamara. Danced out of trouble there with some clever feet. Moreno gets it on the left, steps inside Trippier. There was a foul on Kamara as he was trying to get away, and the Villa fans and players are frustrated that advantage wasn't played.
Not allowed to play his boot come off. Yeah, he's not got a choice. So everyone was annoyed about it, but the referee's not got an option there. His boot's off, and you don't allow play to go on with that hand.
Okay, well spotted. We're in the last minute of the first half, but as Pat was saying, a fair bit of added time to come. Fourth official Michael Salisbury has the board in his hand. Almiron snapped into a challenge on McGinn there. The ball runs loose, but it falls at the feet of Douglas Luiz. Luiz looking for the high spinning diagonal away to the right, and Dan Burn says thank you very much, leaps in the air, nods it down to Almiron, lays it back to Miley, who looks for the run of Almiron down the left but passes it straight out of play. 4 minutes of added time at the end of this first half. Villa 0, Newcastle 2.
Yeah, and all the questions obviously are going to be asked by Unai Emery at half time here. He will have to adapt something. What has looked a lot of the time like a 4-4-2, not many teams playing 4-4-2 these days. You can leave yourself very open in the midfield if you do that, if the two wide players in the four in the midfield, and that's kind of what's happened. They've not been able to control that. So even though it sounds as if it's slightly negative, to go back to a 4-2-3-1 might be a much more sensible thing to do, or a 4-1-4-1, which would be even more sensible.
Just talking about the attacking threat of Aston Villa as well, I saw the news in the press room this evening as we were getting ready for the game that the club Villa have agreed a fee with Middlesbrough for the transfer of Morgan Rogers to join the club, which will give them another attacking option. Tonight, though, they've got to find a couple of goals. 2-0 down at home against Newcastle. Jacob Murphy drops deep, and Guimaraes played the ball through for him to run onto him behind the Villa defence, so that's ended up just at the feet of Emi Martinez. Still 2-0 to Newcastle. Martinez plays out to Konza. Konza back to his goalkeeper. Martinez is encouraged to bring the ball right to the edge of the box, inside the D, across to Longley. Longley, the Frenchman, up towards Watkins, holds off Cher and lays it back to Tielemans. Tielemans runs away from Miley. Now the run from Alex Moreno. Great ball from Tielemans. Watkins in the middle. The offside flag is up, and the assistant referee must be absolutely certain about that, because otherwise he would have let that go to see whether Villa could score, and then it could have been checked by VAR.
I have to agree with him, because we're in a great line with him, but I expected them to let it run because it was tight. I agree that I thought it looked offside, but that's a brave call by the assistant referee, because that's a brilliant opportunity, because there's a ball in the middle there. Watkins is running in a brilliant position. That's a brave call by the assistant referee.
It's an unusual one, Pat, as you say. I think when it's tight like that, they normally just let them go, and then the flag goes up late afterwards.
There was complaints the other week there about the play being allowed to go on, and it led to an injury.
Well, that was Edison at Newcastle, wasn't it?
Yeah. So people have been complaining about that.
Yeah.
Well, you can't have it both ways.
We can't. We're not complaining. We're just making the point. Here's Watkins on the turn inside the Newcastle half. 90 seconds remaining in this first half. Villa trying to get themselves back in the game. 2-0 down against Newcastle. McGinn towards Watkins. Watkins sees Cash on the outside. Cross comes in. Stretching clearance goes wide of Newcastle's right-hand post. It was Cher who was there. That clearance could have gone anywhere, but he had to get something on it because Diaby was right behind him.
Oh, Cher was lucky if he'd have left it. I think the player was offside behind him. But he tried to play it and he almost put it through his own net. It was a half ball. He's running towards goals. It was a tough one. He's having an interesting game, Fabian Cher.
Busy. Douglas Luiz with the corner, short to Tielemans, back to Luiz. Luiz has Almiron right in front of him, just outside the box. He does get the cross in, drops down inside the 6-yard area. Watkins making a nuisance of himself, hacked away by Guimaraes, and Villa get another late corner at the end of this first half.
That's the first little snap that Watkins has had inside the box. Now his back was to go there. It was bouncing around. It was only at the very most a half chance, but he couldn't hook it in.
Corner for Villa. Now referee John Brooks wants to have a word here with a couple of players inside the box. One is John McGinn, Lewis Miley is another. Douglas Luiz breathing heavily. You can see the condensation just puffing out in front of his mouth, hands on hips as he waits to take this corner. This will be the last action of this first half. Villa 0, Newcastle 2. Miley and McGinn still battling for space in the box. Luiz's corner, McGinn gets there, heads it over the bar. Good chance that. It remains 2-0 to Newcastle.
The referee must have been tempted there. McGinn, he was watching McGinn and Miley anyway. The ball's coming over. I've watched it the whole time. Miley's got his arms all over him. He's not done anything about it. McGinn had the chance, couldn't score. 2-0.
So half-time whistle blows. You probably heard it in the background there. Newcastle just one away win all season here against Aston Villa, who won 9 out of 10 at home, and remarkably at half-time Newcastle lead by 2-0. Both goals scored by centre-back Fabian Schär. One directly from a corner, he volleyed it into the bottom corner of the net. The other one a follow-up on a rebound after Anthony Gordon's deflected shot came back off the crossbar. Unai Emery has got some thinking to do here, Pat Nevin.
Yeah, I mean, you think about what's happened in the last 3 or 4 games. Is it 1 goal in the last 3 games that Aston Villa have scored, something like that? And they've not scored in this first half. They've created limited amount of chances. As the referee and his assistants walk off, they're getting booed. I don't think that's a major problem for Aston Villa. I think there's bigger problems they've got there. They will adapt it. Emery always does. He has to. He's no option now. I think you need to get certainly McGinn more central. When he's on the ball, he looks more dangerous. But when he's out peripheral, he's not having a big effect in the game. Ollie Watkins, I don't know if it's the fact that he's very quiet at the moment or the fact he's just not been given chances. The only time he's getting the ball is when he gets back to goal. That's not where Ollie Watkins is at his best. He's at his best running into areas. They've not been able to do that. They're not giving them half chances. Big decisions to be made. But I think Unai Emery will make them, and he'll make them at half time.
Aston Villa heading for a first home defeat of the season in the Premier League here at Villa Park tonight. Elsewhere in the Premier League at the moment, Arsenal now 2-0 up away to Nottingham Forest. We'll be joining the commentary of that one shortly for the closing stages while we take a break at half time here. Still goalless between Fulham and Everton. An hour played at Craven Cottage. Luton 4, Brighton 0. That is some scoreline this evening in the Premier League. And Crystal Palace 2, Sheffield United 2, a latest score. And a stat for you as we head towards the half-time break here and go off and get ourselves a cup of tea concerning Aston Villa Newcastle games. The away team hasn't won this fixture in the last 16 games between them since Newcastle won here 2-1 back in September 2013. At half-time here at Villa Park on Sports Extra, they lead, Newcastle do. They lead Villa by 2-0. We will hand you over to commentary of Nottingham Forest Arsenal, and then we'll be back here for second half commentary of this one.
Live. Arsenal lead by 2-0. Quite a high line to defend a Forest free kick that is hit and swung over deep inside the Arsenal half. Into the penalty area it goes. Played in towards Murillo. Murillo plays it back now to Danilo. Forest games that are coming up. They've got Bournemouth away on Sunday. They've then now got to play another replay against Bristol City, Newcastle and West Ham to come. So the fixture list doesn't really get much easier for Nuno Espirito Santo.
Nah, it's tough. It's been really tough for them tonight. I mean, it's game after game after game for them. Bournemouth, Newcastle, West Ham, Villa. It's not going to be. It's not going to be easy.
No, it isn't. As the pressure mounts at the bottom of the table, and there'll always be that cloud hanging over the club until news of the commission, expected around April, will give us news of any sanctions against Nottingham Forest for their breach of financial fair play for last season. Here is Saka to Havertz. Havertz waits, Ødegaard. Total control now for us.
Yeah, and this is where Arsenal will go back to the way they played in the first half, when Forest had every single player behind the ball, patience, finding a way, finding those gaps.
Yates, Hudson-Odoi. Hudson-Odoi off the left touchline. Yates is ahead of him. Never have you really felt that Nottingham Forest were creating such a major threat to Arsenal. As Toffolo swings over the cross from the left, David Raya brings it into his grasp, as Arsenal have only had 2 wins in their last 7 Premier League, picking up 3 precious points away from home. Good play by Trossard. Oh, and the shot wasn't too bad either. He danced his way past a couple of challenges and then right-footed hit an effort from the edge of the box that whistled wide. 2-0 Arsenal.
Yeah, he never lets up a chance. If there's a chance there to strike it, Trossard, he does it, picked it on the wide left, and he just danced by about 3 or 4 players, edge of the box. He got to the edge of the D and he sets fire to it, slightly off target, catches it well, but can't allow him to get into those shooting positions.
So how long have we got remaining? We've got 9 minutes remaining of normal time. As Toffolo goes on ahead of Gibbs-White, runs with the ball, left-hand side of the area, delivers the cross. Arsenal again, defending in numbers. The ball is passed out by Trossard to Ødegaard, and another potential break could be on here. The ball won't go with Saka on the halfway line, so instead he just strokes it inside to Declan Rice. As the ball is passed forward to Ødegaard, looks for the run of Nketiah, blocked by Murillo, picked up by Havertz, and Trossard just comes to a standstill. Back to Fulham we go. Any sign of a breakthrough goal? Aaron Paul.
Fulham huffing and puffing. It's still 0-0. The home side have just hit the crossbar. This time Deco Doverreed with the initial header. Then Castagna bounced off in, looped onto the crossbar and bounced back out. We're getting closer, I think, Ian. Fulham 0, Everton 0.
The only goalless game in the 5 in the top flight tonight. Run through the latest scores for you in a moment as Nketiah shoots. That was going wide, but Bamidele wasn't able to take that chance, and he's diverted the ball behind, back this way for a corner kick.
Yeah, another corner. I mean, Forrest now kind of hanging on to keep it at 2. In that midfield kind of area is Zinchenko and Ødegaard and Rice. It's so secure, they know exactly what they do. The 2 centre-halves as well, they've been absolutely outstanding as well. For Arsenal, Saliba and Gabriel.
Voice of Dion Dublin on BBC Radio 5 Live. Arsenal 2 goals to the good. Corner kick near side the right. Saka to take it. Left-footed, in-swinger. Turner claims it. But everybody was back there, and in the end he throws it out underarm, out towards that far side. Bamidele now in possession for Nottingham Forest, but he's inside his own penalty area. Forward towards Gibbs-White, collecting the ball very, very deep, caught in possession, combination of Ødegaard and Saka, and Saka's shot blocked, comes to Ødegaard, takes it on the head, looks to try and roll away from Gibbs-White. Toffolo is back helping him out and concedes the corner kick. All Arsenal.
Yeah, it is all Arsenal, and you can see now Nottingham Forest legs are tired. They've had to concentrate for 45 minutes in the first half, making sure that they don't get done with a sucker punch. Make sure you do what you've done on the training ground. They've done it. It is really tiring, mentally tiring. Now the game's opened up. Perfect for Arsenal.
And it's going to be another corner kick that Saka is going to take on this right-hand side. Forest again have every red shirt back inside their own penalty area. Again, the right arm is aloft. It's another left-footed in-swinger, and again right down the throat of Turner. Arteta not happy with the delivery from Saka, looks to the heavens, but Forest can't take advantage. Awoniyi unable to get there. Ødegaard passes the ball forward. Saka on his toes, running at Toffolo, and goes for a left-footed curler that continues to climb into the Arsenal supporters' goal kick. 2-0.
Yeah, that's what you have to do. Forest have to chase the game now. They have to try and break quickly. The keeper, Turner, rolls it out, then they go forward, they give it away, then their back four's under pressure. One-on-one, Saka down the right-hand side, Trossard down the left-hand side. They are struggling at the moment, Forest, to get out of their own half.
Well, they started the game 5 points behind Liverpool. Liverpool, of course, play Chelsea tomorrow. Commentary from Anfield at 8:15 tomorrow night on 5 Live. But it was imperative that they stayed in touch with the league leaders. Somebody who yesterday, Mikel Arteta, was fulsome of his praise of Jurgen Klopp, saying that he'd improved the league and improved every manager as well competing against him. Goal at Leicester City in the Championship, Ross Heaton.
Yeah, Leicester have doubled their lead from the penalty spot. Maverdidi slotting home into the bottom corner after Daka was brought down inside the penalty area. Victory for the hosts gives them a double-figure lead at the top of the division. Leicester 2, Swansea 0.
And Coventry City currently drawing at home to Bristol City 1-1. Bristol City started the day 13th, but they're only 6 points off the playoff position. Aston Villa 0, Newcastle United 2 is the half-time score on the 8:15 kickoff. What's the latest in the 8 o'clock game at Selhurst Park? Henry Moran.
Palace 2, Sheffield United 2, but Ivo Grbic in the United goal has just been substituted on his Premier League debut. Collision with Mateta. He didn't want to come off, but Wes Fodringham's replaced him. Palace 2, Sheffield United 2.
Elsewhere, Luton 4, Brighton and Hove Albion 0, Fulham 0, Everton 0. Those two both 7:45 kickoffs. This was 7:30, and that's why we've got under 4 minutes remaining of normal time at the City Ground, where Arsenal, with 2 second-half goals, lead by 2-0. Gabriel Jesus with the all-important breakthrough goal. What was it, 8 minutes after he'd hit the post, and then that second goal coming after 72 minutes from Arsenal, and Bukayo Saka, 18 minutes from time, that has just taken a little bit of the heat out of this contest, as now there's going to be further changes. Nelson and Kiwior are going to be coming on just to try, and well, Kiwior will be to shore things up at the back, the Polish international. But Forest have offered nothing second half.
No, they haven't. They found it difficult to get hold of the ball. They really haven't. In the first half, you've got a gap from front to back in that Nottingham Forest lineup of possibly 4 or 5 metres when they are defending lovely and compact. Second half have come out. They've had to change it. Nuno's had to try something different to try and get this game won. And they're now stretched, and in the middle of the park, you've got Rice taking charge, Odegaard's now taking charge. Kai Havertz is sat in the 10 role, nobody round him at all, so it's difficult for them.
And that's not to say that they had chances in the first half. The best effort was a Danilo effort, a rising long-range drive. 4 minutes before half-time. So certainly there'd have to be a shift in the ambition and the adventure for Nottingham Forest in games that remain. They've never looked like causing Arsenal too many problems here tonight.
No, not at all. The setup's great for a certain amount of time, staying behind the ball, staying in the game, but you are at home, you've got this crowd on your side, you've got to make them. You've got to give them something to shout about. They had nothing at all, the Forest fans.
Here is Awoniyi, they might have something now. And Awoniyi, out of absolutely nothing, has reduced the arrears. The ball popped up to him inside the penalty area, low left-footed. Awoniyi scores against Arsenal again, and maybe he sets up an interesting finale with just over 10 minutes remaining. Nottingham Forest 1, Arsenal 2, Awoniyi off the bench.
Yeah, that's what I would. That's like an aggressive goal. He's had the ball played up to him 2 or 3 times a few minutes before this, and he's given the ball away. He's been really disappointed with them. This time the ball's looped up in the air. I think he's bounced Saliba off the ball. He's controlled the ball with his left, and I think he's poked it home with his left as well. Strong centre-forward play, but the ball's in the centre-forward area, giving him a chance. Really good centre-forward play, well done.
There is a VAR check. They're checking for a possible offside. So in the meantime, where will we go next then on 5 Live? It's to Ross Heaton, Leicester.
Leicester now have a 3-0 lead. It's the substitute Yunus who's side-footed in after a mistake in the area to surely seal the win for the leaders. 73 minutes gone, Leicester 3, Swansea 0.
Checking for a possible offside from that ball that was pumped forward by Danilo.
He's a yard on, isn't he? From what I can see, he's a yard on.
Looks very much onside. Zinchenko playing him onside. This should have the green line. So we've got 60 seconds remaining, and Forest are going to set up a rather interesting finale. But still the delay goes on. Let's get an update from Luton. John Southall.
Well, Luton still lead by 4-0 against Brighton, but it gets worse for Brighton. João Pedro's just hobbled off. 18 goals for him this season. Looks quite a nasty foot injury. Luton 4, Brighton 0.
And an update from Selhurst Park. Henry Moran.
Gone in the second half. Palace 2, Sheffield United 2. Not quite the mayhem of the first half, but entertaining nonetheless. Palace 2, Sheffield United 2.
The goal stands. Kiwior and Nelson wait to come on. It is Nottingham Forest 1, Arsenal 2, and by my watch we're now into the 90 minutes, and there's going to be 5 minutes of added on time. A minimum of 5 minutes of Forest 1, Arsenal 2. Nelson is, in fact, his plans to come on have been shelved, but Kiwior will be coming on. And it's not as straightforward as we were making out now all of a sudden.
No, it's not, actually. And
Jorginho's going to come on.
This is what Forest would have wanted in the game. This time of the game as well. 5 minutes to go. Get the ball forward. See what you can get off a one-year gamble. Get yourself a goal.
So it was going to be Kiwior and Nelson. It's now going to be Kiwior and Jorginho. Forest looking to finish with a flourish. Gibbs White battling for the ball, still going, runs in towards the penalty area, taken on by that far side.
Welcome back to Villa Park on Radio 5 Sports Extra. So dramatic finish in store at the City Ground. You heard Ian Dennis and Dion Dublin there. Nottingham Forest have pulled one back late on, heading towards 5 minutes of added time. Nottingham Forest 1, Arsenal 2. Here Aston Villa probably sent out with a flea in their ear by the manager Unai Emery. 9 wins out of 10 at home in the Premier League so far this season, but 2 Fabian Schär goals have Newcastle 2-0 in front. Fulham 0, Everton 0, Luton 4-0 up on Brighton, Palace 2, Sheffield United 2. Our listeners on 5 Live will be joining us once Nottingham Forest Arsenal is over. Second half about to get underway. Former Scotland international Pat Nevin having one last slurp of a boiling hot tea before we get stuck in to the second half. As much as we've been talking about Villa's problems in the first half, Pat, Newcastle have just looked a bit sharper tonight than recently.
Absolutely. I mean, I've watched them in a number of games, and they had periods when they looked sharp enough, but trying to keep it going for 90 minutes has been very difficult for them. They've got another injury tonight which is going to push them. But when you look at some of the youth, particularly Miley, he's not shown in great skillful play tonight. The work rate has been stunningly good, and his link-up play and understanding with Gordon up until now has been really, really special on the left-hand side. So, yeah, they've got players all over the park that are looking well. I have to say, Guimaraes has been back to his old self, and Anthony Gordon, certainly the tiredness that I was seeing in him for a few weeks, that seems to be shelved for the moment.
So Emi Martinez, Aston Villa's goalkeeper, away to our left in this second half. Aston Villa playing towards the giant Holt end from left to right in the claret and blue this evening, needing to find themselves an early goal. They've got some defending to do though. Low cross comes in from Jacob Murphy. That's blocked behind by Clement Longley, and Newcastle have themselves an early corner in the second half, leading by 2-0, starting the 9th, 10th place in the Premier League, and in search of a much needed league win.
And worryingly for Aston Villa supporters, it's another corner from the right hand side.
Yes, 2 Trippier corners from the right led to both goals in the first half. 4 minutes between them, both scored by Fabian Schär. Delivery comes in from the right, free header at the far post from Sven Botman, stooping, nods it down and wide, and that'll be a goal kick for Aston Villa.
And Fabian Schär saying, I'd have put that one away. Phrases you didn't think you'd say today. Fabian Schär's on a hat-trick at the start of the second half.
He's known, Pat, isn't he, for sort of long-range thunderbolts, less known for sort of neatly cushioned volleys and follow-up on rebounds.
I mean, the funny thing is, he's saying right at the start of the game it was a real problem for Villa from corner kicks and set pieces because of the height. But that's not how they lost those goals. It's absolutely not. It was just bad defending and personnel being in the right place at the right time. It wasn't big headers from big centre-backs that was scoring the goals.
Ball back with Emi Martinez again, all in light green. Left-footed clearance. Yuri Tielemans going to be penalised here for a shove. Only 10 yards outside his own penalty area. He was looking to try and win that ball. It was Guimaraes who was in there for Newcastle battling. And Tielemans is adjudged to have fouled Guimaraes, to shoved him to the floor. So Newcastle get a free kick early in the second half.
Fans are shouting, Bruno, Bruno. It looks quite far out for me and quite an angle there. You never know, might be tempted.
So we got Kieran Trippier, Newcastle fans singing away.
That seems a more obvious one.
It does, doesn't it? Trippier with the right foot looking for some delivery in towards the far post. Jacob Murphy could hit an in-swinger with his left foot as well. Murphy runs towards it, stops. Trippier's delivery is good. Konza is there, heads it straight up in the air, and Emi Martinez gives it a big shout and grabs the ball with both hands, and Dan Burn immediately comes sprinting back to the halfway line to cover the run of John McGinn.
It's like a magnet to Schär at the moment, because the ball was played to the back post, and had it not been cleared, he was there again for another tap-in.
Konza towards McGinn, backs into Dan Burn. Burn bounces off him. McGinn plays it to his right to Matty Cash with the hair swept back. Shorn short on both sides, number 2 on the back of his Villa shirt. The ball's with Longley now, over to the left it goes to Moreno. Moreno steps in the challenge of Kieran Trippier very easily, and suddenly yawning space owns up down the left for Villa. Here's Moreno running hard, then the cross comes in looking for Watkins. Watkins is beaten to it, Newcastle can bring it away. Trippier passes infield to Guimaraes. Seems to have an endless supply of energy this evening, trying to thread one through to Gordon. Martinez knew that was coming, so was right at the edge of his box and in a good position to attack it for Villa to be able to clear it. As Kamara plays through the lines to Tielemans. Tielemans looking for the run of Watkins. Dubravka comes off his line, just puts his body in the way. He's down, Watkins is down, the two collided, and the free kick goes to Newcastle.
I think Watkins gets the ball there, but his studs are showing. It's one of those ones I don't think he would normally go for that ball, because it's the keeper's probably, but he goes for there because he's a bit desperate at the moment. And in free kicks he's not offside when the ball's played through, but he has to throw his body in there, and I don't think anyone's acting there. I think both goalkeeper and he are both injured. I mean, it's quite a dangerous one from Watkins. Keeper can't really, he can't really protect himself there a great deal, can he? And he's kicked the top of the ball and his studs went over it.
That's right. He's stretching out a right foot at full speed to try and get a toe on the ball to knock it past Dubravka, and as Pat says, his foot has slid off the top of the ball, and Dubravka is coming out at top speed, and it's gone straight into Dubravka with the studs up. But all he's trying to do there is finish and score, isn't he? He's not looking to hurt the goalkeeper.
To be honest, he's also protecting himself. You only go in, you don't kick the ball with your studs ever. That's not, if you're going to try and kick the ball, that's not when you try and kick the ball. So he's kind of protecting himself and he's going for it, but he's not going for the goalkeeper, he's going for the ball. And that is one of those ones they'll have to look at it. I mean, the VAR will be looking at it just now, because it's one of those ones, if you do it in freeze frame, it looks quite ugly.
So Martin Dubravka is back on his feet. He definitely seems sore. 2 members of the Newcastle medical team still out there. Loris Karius is the goalkeeping substitute for Newcastle if required. Yet to play this season, just 1 appearance for the club so far, which was in the League Cup final against Manchester United last season. Dubravka is hobbling, but seems intent to carry on. So he's about to take this Newcastle free kick. 6 minutes gone in the second half, and Newcastle in the black and white stripes, playing from right to left in this second half towards the north stand. Just 1 away win in the Premier League so far for them this season, but 2-0 up, and Anthony Gordon pressing forward now, finds Almiron. Almiron's crossed to the far post, and it's been tucked in. Newcastle have themselves a third goal. Jacob Murphy in exactly the right place, the perfect ball from Miguel Almiron, and Murphy just slid his whole body towards it. And what an incredible scoreline at Villa Park this evening, given Villa's home form and Newcastle's away form in the Premier League so far. It's Villa 0, Newcastle 3. Pat Nevitt.
Now, first of all, what a break. The pace of that's incredible. Almiron's come on as a sub, so he is lively, but the pace of him and Gordon is now playing through the middle, flying up that left-hand side, put the ball to the back post, and you know, it is a tap in some ways. Moreno's in there trying his best. I mean, he's injured because he's gone flying into the post. But the way they played it, the way they played this game, Newcastle, has been seriously intelligent. They knew that Aston Villa had to come on to him. They did come on to him, and they used the pace to put this game arguably out of reach.
Ian Dennis queuing to us on 5 Live at exactly the right time. You can hear the Newcastle fans singing loud and proud on a chilly night in the Midlands, and the Aston Villa fans shaking their heads in disbelief. Their team 3-0 down at home. Plenty of time still to try and sort this out in the second half, but goodness me, they have a mountain to climb. Another goal at Selhurst Park tonight. Henry Moran. I'm quite pleased about that, Pat, from the fantasy football point of view, because in the website column this week I just tipped Michael Elise back to fitness, possibly as a useful differential in the FPL midfield. So I think he's got 2 assists and a goal tonight. Good game at Selhurst Park. Luton thumping Brighton, we know. Fulham Everton still goalless. Arsenal have beaten Nottingham Forest by 2-1. That is relevant to Aston Villa as well, of course, because at the start of tonight, Aston Villa on 43 points along with Arsenal. Arsenal have moved to 46, just 2 points behind Liverpool at the top of the table. They're involved in our 5 Live commentary tomorrow night at home against Chelsea. But Villa here look like they're going to be stuck on 43 points. They are facing a first home defeat of the season. Ollie Watkins is fouled here inside his own half. He was holding off the defender. That's Fabian Schär who's come forward with him. Schär's complaining that he got shoved in the face, and Schär is now being hauled to his feet. But Aston Villa will get themselves the free kick in the Championship. Goal at Coventry, Charlie Slater.
Might surprise a few, this one. Bristol City lead at Coventry in the 83rd minute. Narky Wells, Coventry 1, Bristol City 2. Coventry haven't lost here since the end of October, and Wells has scored his first goal since the end of September. Coventry 1, Bristol City 2.
Leicester leading Swansea by 3-0 in the closing stages in the Championship as well tonight. So I'll take you through the 2 team lineups in just a second. Aston Villa 3-0 down at home, defending the goal away to our left, so attacking the Holt end away to our right in this second half. Alexander Isak off injured late in the first half for Newcastle. Eddie Howe certainly doesn't need that, but he'll be loving the performance from his team tonight and the scoreline. So Emi Martinez in goal for Villa, Matty Cash, Ezri Konsa, Clement Longley and Alex Moreno is the back 4. McGinn, Louise, Kamara, Tielemans midfield 4, and Moussa Diaby in support of Ollie Watkins. They are in the very familiar claret and blue home kits tonight. Emi Martinez all in light green inside his own penalty area, just passing the ball to Ezri Konsa. His long legs eat up the ground quickly, brings it forward. Anthony Gordon sticks with him and plays back to Martinez again. Newcastle, Dubravka in goal. Trippier, Botman, Schär and Byrne. Fabian Schär with the 2 goals in the first half for Newcastle tonight, his first in the Premier League this season. Longstaff, Guimaraes and Miley with Isak off, so it means Anthony Gordon is the central striker, Almiron and Jacob Murphy the wide men combining for that 3rd goal. 10 minutes into the second half, Pat Nevin alongside me here at Villa Park. Douglas Luiz on the ball for Villa. Now we're going to see what they're made of and what Unai Emery might try and do about it, Pat, to change things.
Well, we were talking before half-time. I was convinced they would change it at half-time. They're playing what is basically a 4-4-2, and they're losing the midfield completely. You know, they've not got Watkins into the game at all. Every time he gets the ball, he gets back to the goal. That's not where he's at his strongest. But he's not changed it. You've got Leon Bailey, maybe not fully fit, on the bench. And it's a real surprise he didn't change it to 2-0. But at 3-0, well, surely he's got to do something now.
Just over half an hour to play. Villa 0, Newcastle 3. In League One, there's been a goal in the game between Oxford and Portsmouth. Paul Scott.
10 minutes to play. The league leaders have turned this match around. It is Oxford 1, Portsmouth 2. A debut goal for Callum Lang, the January arrival from Wigan, off the bench and on the score sheet. Oxford 1, Portsmouth 2.
Quickly back to Coventry in the Championship. Charlie Slater.
Where Coventry are level. Coventry 2, Bristol City 2 in the 85th minute. Kitchen with the shot from range. The keeper horribly spills it, and Sims taps in 2-2.
Thank you, Charlie. Douglas Luiz on the ball for Aston Villa. Moreno has time to get his head up, curls across in, and only manages to find the big figure of Martin Dubravka, the Slovakian goalkeeper, all in lime green, who catches it cleanly and slings the ball out to Trippier. So in terms of longer term worries, we'll have to find out after the game what the news is on Alexander Isak. Callum Wilson is still out injured. Anthony Gordon playing as the central striker, as I say. Ollie Watkins trying to close things down here, very nearly took the ball off Botman. Dan Byrne goes long over the top. 17-year-old Lewis Miley chases. Good race that between him and Ezri Konsa, and Konsa deals with it very calmly. Clearance hits the boot of Miley, spins up in the air, cool as you like. Konsa chests it down, brings it forward, and it goes out for a throw into Villa.
We were talking about Miley before, not always doing the flashy things, but you'd love to play beside him in your team, because the work rate is phenomenal. His link-up play and understanding with the likes of Gordon on the left-hand side, he's been superb. He is one of those players. He gives everything for the team, but everything that you want for the manager as well. You know, the ugly stuff, he's always there doing it, uncomplaining.
Ollie Watkins battling with Fabian Schär, could have won a free kick. Referee John Brooks decides to play the advantage. Watkins gets Villa moving now, passes the ball to Diaby, wants it back as Watkins, angles tight, tries to get the shot away. Good defending. The shot is blocked. McGinn comes steaming in to try and win it back for Villa. Newcastle bring it away with Almiron. His pass, though, only finds Matty Cash. Cash slips, but the pass is good enough to find Boubacar Kamara. He's on a yellow card this evening for a foul on Bruno Guimaraes late in the first half. Moreno's ball low into the penalty area is cleared away by Scher. That'll be a throw-in for Villa on the left. They've taken it quickly, and Moreno receives it, but Newcastle in position to defend. Yuri Tielemans, 5th Premier League start of the season for him, feeds Moreno. Moreno's cross is blocked down by the byline. Newcastle will keep this in play, and Trippier just stops for a second. No one coming towards him, knocks the ball into the body of Tielemans, and that will be a goal kick for Newcastle.
There's two Villa people there that don't look their usual selves, and one of them is Watkins. The sharpness, the spark doesn't seem to be there tonight. Now, as a centre forward, he'll say to you, I think he is actually much better as a central forward on his own. Player beside him, not worked well with him. And the other one, don't know what Unai Emery's doing. He's just stood there.
Yeah.
He's just watched it. He's not adapted it, and it's taken him a long time to move.
It's coming now, Pat, with half an hour to play. Leon Bailey, one of those, is going to be coming on. But
do you know what? I just immediately look at the clock, expecting it to say 60 minutes. I'm wrong. It's 59:24. Some of these managers do that.
Yeah, by habit, you mean?
Well, by plan.
Yeah.
But you've got to think to yourself sometimes, look, plan A will not work if plan A was 0-0 or 1-0. It's 3-0.
So changes coming for Villa. Alex Moreno's trying to get the ball back off the Newcastle fans to take this Villa free kick. As Pat says, coming up to the 60-minute mark, half an hour to play. On air with you here on 5 Live, with 5 Live Sport through until 10:30 tonight. All the Premier League football well covered for you in terms of the commentaries over the next couple of days on 5 Live Sports Extra and online, as Watkins slides a pass into Diaby, gets round Dubravka, not enough power on the finish, cleared off the line. Fabian Schär is back there, scoring goals at one end and clearing off the line at the other end. Villa get the corner.
By some distance, the best move between the two players working together. Diaby there running off Watkins. They haven't worked as a partnership at all, and even though they are double strikers most of the time here, that hasn't looked like it. It's amazing how that happens. Just the three substitutes start getting warmed up.
Villa subs waiting to come on. Corner taken short by John McGinn. Can they get themselves a goal back? McGinn's cross into the near post. Kamara tries to win a flicked header. Newcastle clear, but they've given the ball away. Tielemans is there. Zaniolo, Ramsey and Bailey. It's going to be a triple substitution made by Unai Emery to try and turn this ship around, but it looks like it's going to be a first home defeat in the Premier League for Aston Villa tonight since February 2023. A first defeat in 18 Premier League home games. The last team to win here, Arsenal, when they won by 4-2. Douglas Luiz stabs a ball back here to Konza. Konza's inside the Newcastle half. Across it comes to Matty Cash. Looks to his right. Didn't think the pass to McGinn was on, so plays back into his own half again. Konza comes across to Longley. Given back to Konza. Konza's the central figure here, and on the centre spot fires a diagonal ball out towards Matty Cash. Dan Burn comes flying across, covers it and nods it out of play for a throw into Villa. Fourth official Michael Salisbury just wants to check that Villa and Emery are ready to make the changes. Here they come. So the first one is Moussa Diaby off and Leon Bailey coming on, and the Villa fans like the sight of Leon Bailey arriving for action. Yuri Tielemans is going to be replaced by the Italian Nicolo Zaniolo, and Jacob Ramsey is going to be the third Villa substitute. He's missed the last couple of games with a hamstring problem, so let's see how he goes. He comes on for Boubacar Kamara. So that's the triple change for Aston Villa. In terms of your commentaries tomorrow night, Manchester City Burnley kicks off at 7:30. That'll be on Radio 5 Sports Extra. Tottenham Brentford is available online via the BBC Sports website and app. And 5 Live commentary tomorrow night comes from Anfield, Liverpool, Chelsea. All the reaction to tonight's games, goals, news in the Football Daily podcast, available via the BBC Sounds app. Here's Cash. Cash across to Konza. Konza inside the Newcastle half, fires it at Longley. Longley to Luiz. Newcastle happy just to sit back and soak this up at the moment. Arsenal 2-1 winners at Nottingham Forest this evening. Fulham Everton remains goalless in added time at Craven Cottage. McGinn's little layoff here to Douglas Luiz. A little bit intricate, but Newcastle get bodies in the way. Gordon lays it off to Almiron. Almiron drills it forward, intercepted by Matty Cash inside the Newcastle half. Moving forward at speed. Zaniolo nearly gets the ball caught between his feet, off balance. Toes it back to Cash. Wide it goes to Bailey. Bailey skins Almiron on the outside. Deep cross to the far post. Trippier wasn't sure what was behind him. Flicks a header away, and then Jacob Ramsey's just happy to smash that ball downfield.
So Bailey's been on the park 2 minutes, and he's already gone past the defender, put in a dangerous ball, which has not happened in the entirety of the first half or the first 15 minutes of the second half. I mean, it clearly must have been injured or something, because you wouldn't keep him off. Absolutely made a difference since he's come on, and he's only been on moments.
Yeah, cheeky little pass forward from Bailey again to Zaniolo. Zaniolo wide on the right, lays it back here to John McGinn. Villa 0, Newcastle 3. High diagonal ball from McGinn, covered by Trippier, who heads the ball away. Let's check in at Luton with John Southall.
Luton 4, Brighton 0. We're just into added time now, and it's been so comfortable for the last half an hour for Luton. They've been terrific tonight, and they lead by 4 goals to 0.
With Newcastle leading Aston Villa here by 3 goals to 0. Anthony Gordon plays back to Trippier. Gordon immediately sets off. Trippier knew where he was going, tries to find him down the right. Longley is able to intercept, gets his body in the way. Gordon never gives up though. Eventually concedes the foul, but it does slow Villa down. Aston Villa's fans just trying to give their team a bit of momentum, a bit of oomph. Another goal at Leicester, Ross Heaton.
Yeah, 94 minutes played here. Swansea have a consolation in stoppage time, reducing Leicester's lead to 3-1. Joe Allen tapping in after a scramble in the box. Leicester 3, Swansea 1.
Ollie Watkins shot from the angle, saved by Dubravka. Dubravka's got a problem, Pat Nevin. Now, he did pick up a knock, didn't he, early in this first half?
He did, and it was a really tough one. It was Ollie Watkins 50-50. Stubbs went over the ball after it hit the ball. VAR didn't think anything wrong with it, but he did take a bad hit. And it's one of those ones where maybe you would go off, but there's no way you're going to do that when you don't get that many chances. So Dubravka's tried to steal in, but I think he might have lost that fight.
Yeah, well, Nick Pope's out injured at the moment. Dubravka's now got a problem. It's full time at Craven Cottage. Aaron Paul.
Fulham 0, Everton 0. Crossbars hit, a plethora of chances, some fine saves, some horrible misses. No, loads of horrible misses, but a game symptomatic of two sides with their respective issues. Both managers will worry about injuries sustained to key players, but Everton fans will look at the impact this result and the one at Luton have on the league table tonight. All over at Craven Cottage. Fulham 0, Everton 0.
Another goal in the game between Oxford and Portsmouth in League One. Paul Scott.
A late leveller for the home side. It is Oxford 2, Portsmouth 2. Mark Harris's shot from the edge of the area was well saved by Will Norris, who could only parry it into the path of substitute James Henry. Oxford 2, Portsmouth 2.
League 2 tonight. Sutton United 1, Harrogate 2. Coventry, Bristol City next. Charlie Slater.
Coventry 2, Bristol City 2. Sakamoto with the opening goal for Coventry before Dickey equalised late in the first half. A flurry of action late on. Wells thought he'd won it for Bristol City in the 83rd minute, but Sims found a leveller 2 minutes on. 2-2, the draw about right.
And what about the Championship leaders tonight? Leicester. Ross Heaton's been watching them.
It finished Leicester 3, Swansea 1. The table toppers win again. A clinical low finish from Dewsbury Hall broke the deadlock early on. A second half penalty from Mavadidi was quickly followed by a Fox's third from Eunice. Joe Allen stabbed in a consolation in stoppage time, but Maresca's men marched 10 points clear at the top. It finished Leicester 3, Swansea 1.
Villa 0, Newcastle 3. Anthony Gordon bundles Ezri Konsa over as he was chasing a through ball bearing down on goal. That'll be a free kick to Aston Villa. This is Villa 0, Newcastle 3. Palace Sheffield United's been a good game tonight. Henry Moran.
10 left of the 90. Palace 3, Sheffield United 2. The worry for Crystal Palace is the goal scorers. Eze's got 2, Elise's got 1. Both have gone off injured. 10 to go. Palace 3, Sheffield United 2.
And full time at Luton now. John Southall.
And a huge win for Luton. Luton 4, Brighton 0. 2 up within 2 minutes 17 seconds with goals from Adebayo and Ogbene. Adebayo added a third before half-time, wrapped up his hat-trick in the second 45. Brighton were terrible, Luton terrific. They're out of the bottom 3. Luton 4, Brighton 0.
Livingston 2, Ross County 2. Full-time scoreline in the Scottish Premiership. Closing stages, Aberdeen 1, Dundee 1. Right, midway through the second half, Newcastle in total control. Martin Dubravka's received the treatment, so a second spell of treatment for him in this second half. He's carrying on, Pat.
He is carrying on, and you know that they were just getting a little head of steam up there, Aston Villa, and Dubravka went down. Now, I'm not suggesting for a moment that he did that deliberately, but it's kind of killed it a little bit, taking the steam out of it, and Villa somehow have to get that going again. They'd already started creating chances down the right hand side, and Willie Watkins had his first real shot at goal, look at goal in the game so far, but they'll need to go and start winding it up again.
Here's John McGinn, Villa's skipper, but he's inside his own half, not too much he can do there. Plays back to Cash. Konza strokes it forward to Douglas Luiz, twisting and turning, looking to try and get the ball away for Villa. Has to come back to his goalkeeper, Emi Martinez. Martinez just chips it down the middle of the pitch up towards Zaniolo, tall figure in the midfield for Villa. Kept the ball, goes down Herb, but play continues. Douglas Luiz thought about the early one to Leon Bailey on the right. McGinn wants an option here, doesn't see it, turns away from Miley, forward to Zaniolo. Zaniolo's got Almiron for company there. Almiron slides in, free kick Villa. McGinn goes quickly, gives it to Bailey. What a turn from Bailey, leaves Dan Burn for dead, moving at speed up to the edge of the box, then slides a little switch pass into Cash. Cash drives it across goal. Dubravka, I think, got a hand to that. It goes behind for a corner.
I'm almost speechless that why Leon Bailey's not on this pitch earlier. He has been absolutely magnificent since he's come on. He's looked lively, sharp, making angles, playing passes, seeing people, asking questions, running into space. He has been the best player for Aston Villa, and he's been on 10 minutes.
As soon as he did that and left Dan Burn just trailing in his way, you could see Burn thinking, here's the corner. Douglas Luiz goes short, down the byline to that man Bailey, back to Luiz, corner of the box, fires it, curling effort, takes a big deflection, loops over the Newcastle crossbar. Still Villa 0, Newcastle 3. Villa win themselves another corner. They've got just over 20 minutes to try and get back into the game. They go quickly again with the corner. Watkins this time receives the short one from McGinn. McGinn's pass back to the edge of the box is intercepted, cleared. Cash is there to cover it for Villa. Plays back to his goalkeeper, Emi Martinez. He's midway inside his own half, drives the ball forward. Trippier intercepts that quite comfortably, and then Guimaraes slides one through. Flag stays down. Anthony Gordon up to the edge of the penalty area, hits the shot across the face of goal and wide, and then the flag goes up. So that will be a free kick for the offside. Villa 0, Newcastle 3.
And of course that's the danger. I mean, Gordon he's put in a shift today, hasn't he? We know all about his pace. It hasn't looked that sharp in recent weeks like a lot of Newcastle players. But tonight he has put in the shift. He's been lively, and he's not a natural centre forward, but let's be fair, he loves it, doesn't he? He wants to be through there because he wants to go behind defenders all the time.
Great curling ball from John McGinn, finds Bailey, low cross into the box. Watkins, Villa back in the game. Leon Bailey's been absolutely deadly since he got on this field. Creates an unmissable chance for Watkins. It's his first goal in 7 games, and can they now test Newcastle's resolve? Villa 1, Newcastle 3.
It may have sounded like a big call when I said he's been the best player and he's only been on here 10 minutes, but come on, that was absolutely magnificent. Great pace there, plays a perfect ball in, unmissable for Watkins, who looks like his old self when he's got his old mucker alongside him there. Had they got that goal back, had they brought, say, Bailey on at half time and gone to 2-1 quite quickly, what a game we have had, but they left it so long. It's 3-1. But it's not beyond the bounds of possibility.
It's not. You think about Newcastle's last Premier League game, the 3-2 defeat against Manchester City. They led that one 2-1. Eddie Howe obviously couldn't make too many changes. His squad is stretched. Villa will take encouragement from that. The goal's been checked by VAR. I imagine they were looking at a potential offside. It does stand, and it's Villa 1, Newcastle 3. Ollie Watkins, the third player to reach 50 Premier League goals for Aston Villa. Jacob Murphy, though, brings it forward. No, he doesn't. Penalised for a foul on Alex Moreno. Newcastle fans opposite us certainly don't agree. And then it's Douglas Luiz, who steps in to try and take the ball off Jacob Murphy rather ill-advisedly, knocks into the floor. He wanted to get on with the game, and the reason Pat Nevin's saying terrible is Douglas Luiz has been booked for that. While that carries on, Pat, just going to check in at Oxford Portsmouth, full-time in League One. Paul Scott.
It is finished here, Oxford 2, Portsmouth 2. Pompey missing the chance to move 5 points clear at the top of League One. Oxford went ahead in the 45th minute through Tyler Goodrum. Pompey thought they'd won it with second-half goals from Colby Bishop and Callum Lang on his debut. James Henry equalised in the 90th minute. Oxford 2, Portsmouth 2.
Matty Cash looking for the run of Ollie Watkins through the middle, headed away by Dan Burn. This game suddenly has a really different feel to it because of this man. Oh, he's played him in. Bailey to Watkins. Watkins stick. Flag goes up, doesn't count. VAR will have to have a look at that. Brilliant finish from Ollie Watkins. For the moment, the goal doesn't stand. Pat Nevin.
Does it come as any shock who played the ball to him? What an incredible Bailey. Gets the ball in that area, always looking up. From this angle here, he did look offside. But, I tell you what, I think it is off. But you're talking half a foot.
Yeah.
I mean, when I say a foot, I mean his foot.
Yeah.
Not an entire foot,
Yeah.
just his foot.
Right, let's wait. We're heading back to Selhurst Park shortly. Last we heard, Crystal Palace still leading Sheffield United by 3 goals to 2. But this is a big moment in this game because Aston Villa suddenly re-energised. 3-1 down now, thanks to the Ollie Watkins goal. We're waiting to see whether Watkins' second goal is going to stand. From the angle we've seen on the replay monitor, as Pat says, it looks like Watkins' leading foot as he runs onto the ball is just offside. But the angle sometimes for us, Pat, can be slightly misleading. It's clearly tight.
Yeah, it is tight. I mean, we're trying to call it here without lines, and we think it's his foot.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I've seen another angle, and it still looks like his foot is just. I mean, his toes. Probably one lace loop. No more than that, but that's enough these days.
Yeah, waiting for the lines to be drawn on the screen. They're just going through that process now, looking at a little screen in our commentary position here. Offside. But I'll tell you what, Pat, Aston Villa will think they can get something out of this game with over 15 minutes to play, the way they're suddenly playing now.
Yeah, and it's no shock. We've got a player that they wanted to come on. He's come on and really bust this entire game into life. They should have done it a lot earlier than they have done it, but they'd look like a different side now.
Yeah.
I mean, they've made other changes as well, but belief is there.
Playing so quickly as well. Quick free kick. Oh, Bailey, what a fabulous ball again. Outside of his left foot. Finds Zaniolo. Back to Bailey. Edge of the box. So that's an awful shot. Right underneath it and over the bar. That'll be a goal kick to Newcastle. Poor old Henry Moran has been waiting for ages at Selhurst Park. Henry, what's the latest?
Into the final 2 minutes of the 90. Crystal Palace 3, Sheffield United 2, but so close to an equaliser. Ahmed Hodzic's flicked header cannoning off the crossbar. Sheffield United pushing for that equaliser. Palace 3, United 2.
Closing stages of that one available as a commentary by the BBC Sports website and app. I wouldn't leave this one, though. Both good finishes here. Villa 1, Newcastle 3, and Palace holding on to a 3-2 lead against Sheffield United. All of it rounded up for you in the Football Daily podcast tomorrow. The latest Women's Football Weekly out as well, available via BBC Sounds. Chelsea's women 4-0 winners away to Paris FC in the Champions League this evening. And the Rugby Union Daily is back ahead of the Six Nations. Day by day, the podcast will be there. Well worth a listen. Commentary game to start the tournament off Friday night. 8 o'clock kickoff is France against Ireland. Right, let's get back to the action here at Villa Park. 15 minutes to play, and it really has burst into life. And surely, Pat, Unai Emery's down there thinking, as he's been saying, why didn't I do something about that sooner?
Everyone around the stadium will think the same thing, but we're saying it at half time.
Yeah.
Exactly the change he should make. He doesn't make it. He waits to the predicted 60 minutes, and it may well be too late because Villa are absolutely all over Newcastle now. It's a completely different side.
Zaniolo has...
By the way, it's worth underlining one other thing just now.
Yeah.
Eddie Howe has made a change. Stop there.
Yeah. John McGinn's getting booked, and that was just over exuberance from McGinn, desperately trying to win the ball back inside the Newcastle half, went flying into a challenger's, thundered through the back of Bruno Guimaraes, really whacked him there, and that is a yellow card for the Villa captain.
Yeah, that's quite cynical. That no excuse for that. No, the change has been made by Eddie Howe, and to be fair, it's so sensible. Miley's done some job there, but he's tiring a little bit. So who does he bring on? Livramento.
Yep.
And what's Livramento going to do? He's going to stand beside the other left back and make 2 players Mark Bailey now because he's causing such damage and so many problems that it's taken. Almost slightly surprised it's taken quite so long. It's nearly 15 minutes it's taken for him to make that change, but it's a perfect sensible and very intelligent change.
Villa 1, Newcastle 3 here at Villa Park. And Crystal Palace leading Sheffield United by 3 goals to 2. Those are the Premier League games still ongoing. It's finished Aberdeen 1, Dundee 1 and Livingston 2, Ross County 2 in the Scottish Premiership tonight. Jacob Murphy dribbling for Newcastle into the penalty area, stopped in his stride, tackle, but he has won Newcastle a corner. Referee took his time over the decision there, but eventually points away into the distance. So Newcastle corner, and they did cause Villa problems in the first half. The 2 Fabian Schär goals back in the first half came from corners from the right.
Yeah, and it was really particularly the first one was really poor marking. The ball's played in, it's a tap in on the volley on the 6-yard line. I mean, that should never ever happen from a corner kick. It doesn't matter if you're man-to-man marking or you're zonal, that's what you should be able to defend.
So Kieran Trippier waits to take the corner. Newcastle fans behind him. Newcastle leading by 3-1. Deep away swinger, nodded down by Botman, might fall here inside the penalty area for Sher, who's on a hat-trick, and his effort is blocked.
Yeah, he's been getting into some brilliant positions all the way through here, and there's a couple of times the balls have come in, defenders have got a last-ditch touch, and he's just standing there. He's got his centre forward head on tonight, hasn't he?
Results in the Premier League tonight then. Arsenal 2-1 winners away to Nottingham Forest. That puts them on 46 points, 2 points behind Liverpool, who are at home to Chelsea tomorrow night. Commentary on 5 Live. It kicks off at 8:15. Luton have beaten Brighton by 4-0 to move out of the bottom 3, and it finished Fulham 0, Everton 0. Palace Sheffield United in the closing stages, with Palace still leading Sheffield United by 3-2. Trippier waits to take this corner for Newcastle. Now this one's coming in from the left-hand side. Trippier with the right-footed delivery. 2 Villa defenders bump into each other as they jump for that. McGinn controls it brilliantly inside his own box. Chased by Guimaraes, who could possibly have tried to exact a little bit of revenge there for the McGinn challenge. Decided against it. And the ball's gone out for a Villa throw in their right-back position. Back to Selhurst Park, Henry Moran.
I have to be honest, when I saw 11 being held up, I assumed it was a substitution. Not a bit of it. We're 3 minutes into 11 minutes of added time. Still Crystal Palace 3, Sheffield United 2.
Right, okay, a wee way to go at Selhurst Park then. Douglas Luiz plays the ball across his own half, wide to the left. Ollie Watkins has lost it. That man Guimaraes is there again for Newcastle. Trippier still forward, trying to thread a ball through to Murphy. It's beyond him. It goes behind for a Villa goal kick.
Guimaraes is understandably annoyed there. He slowed the play down, he got the ball, he played it wide, almost sent his teammates, look, control this now. And then Trippier gives the ball away. I mean, that's the last thing you do when a team's trying to build up this head of steam against you. But right at this moment, keep on looking over at Bailey, who is now no longer being marked by Dan Burn.
Correct. Tino Livramento, the substitute, is out there, and Dan Burn tucked in as a left-sided centre-back. Bailey gets the ball. Villa trying to get it to him as quickly as they can. This time he just decides to lay it off back into his own half, and Matty Cash plays it back to Esri Konsa. 10 minutes plus added time remaining. Aston Villa 1, Newcastle 3. The ball falls nicely for Matty Cash, looking for the run of Bailey this time through the middle. Pass forward intercepted. Newcastle don't clear that well. Douglas Luiz onto it for Villa, across to Cash, back to McGinn. He's got Anthony Gordon behind him. No challenge came in, so it goes out wide to the left. Moreno into the feet of Jacob Ramsey. Ramsey plays back to Douglas Luiz. Villa fans urging him to shoot. Instead he passes low across to Konsa. Konsa chips the ball in the air. Dubravka comes a long way off his line. So easy for him to see that and come out and grab it.
It's a bit of a shame that they did run out of ideas there. Well done Newcastle getting back there. They've almost went to a back 5 now, because Burns now going in as an extra centre back on the left hand side. Livramento is the left full back when they're defended. They're really hard to get through at the moment. And again, it's only that man Bailey. They need to get him on the ball in the final third, but it's harder now with the extra defender on.
Newcastle in the black and white vertical stripes, the black shorts, black socks with the white tops, attacking this north stand away to our left and looking to bring Villa's proud home record in the Premier League this season to an end, leading by 3-1. Almiron holds on to the ball wide on the left, lays it off to Livramento. Livramento has Matty Cash in front of him, just moves away from the Villa penalty area, passes back to Guimaraes, infield to Longstaff, back to Guimaraes again, toes it back to Burns inside his own half, closed down by Zaniolo. Unai Emery waving his Villa players forward to try and put the pressure on here. Newcastle coping with it well, and they've worked the ball all the way out to the right, and Kieran Trippier has quite a bit of space to run into, then looks for that through ball to Jacob Murphy, cleared. And inside his own half, Fabian Schär happy just to put his right foot through that, clears that downfield, and it ends up back in the Aston Villa half.
Yeah, it's really clever watching Eddie Howe, the way he's changed this now, the back 5. It seems a simple thing to do, but he really trusts Livramento, who is a class act as a player. I'm very fortunate not to be starting every week, but he's been given the hardest task in the game so far, and he's done it well.
They've lost their last 4 games in the Premier League, Newcastle, and 6 of the last 7. This really will be a massive fillip for them. If they can hold on and win this game, they'll still be thinking about possibly trying to extend the lead on the counter-attack as well. They've got to watch out for this man, Leon Bailey. Looks so sharp wide on the right. Infield to Luiz, back to Cash, who's out on the right. Luiz again, Passes low to Ezri Konza in the centre circle, just inside the Newcastle half. 8 minutes plus added time remaining. Villa needing a couple of goals here to get level. John McGinn with his left foot opens his body up, plays it across, and wide it goes to Moreno from Longley, outside of his left foot into the feet of Jacob Ramsey. Just got a bit tangled on the edge of the box there, and Longstaff having just to whack it away for Newcastle.
It's a little bit of a shame they're not getting anything on the left hand side, though. They're getting a lot of the ball. It gets out to Moreno. He basically never gets across him. He goes on, they know he's not going to go on his right foot, so they put him onto his right foot and he just passes a square ball, and all the momentum goes out the attack. He needs something more dynamic down that left hand side.
Villa 1, Newcastle 3 on 5 Live and BBC Sounds this evening. Here's John McGinn. Matty Cash in support on the right. Newcastle defenders back paddling, and across into the far post, grabbed by Dubravka. Watkins came flying in to try and get on the end of it. Dubravka, I thought he was just going to stay down for a second there, but slowly picks himself up and he's going to be okay.
No, he's done well tonight, hasn't he? I know he's had that knock, but everything's been asked for him. He's just looked no nonsense, coming out, picking stuff out. Not always been the best crosses, but he's not done anything wrong.
Here they come again. Leon Bailey, this time with the old twinkle toes, can't get past Guimaraes. Guimaraes runs into John McGinn. Not much McGinn could do about that, but it is a foul because Guimaraes had knocked the ball past him, and now Guimaraes is down and seems to be struggling with a little bit of cramp. Nicolo Zaniolo wants to come in and have a word. Sean Longstaff is trying to help his teammate out. So with one hand he's sort of trying to tend to Bruno Guimaraes, with the other hand he's shoving Zaniolo in the chest, and now those two kiss and make up.
Sometimes I would question that cramp there, just at the time he had it, but to be fair to him tonight, the work rate has been phenomenal. And the fact that there have been so many games and Guimaraes never has a rest, does he?
No.
He always plays.
Oh, he's lost the ball on the halfway line. This could be dangerous for Newcastle. Watkins lays it off here to Ramsey. Ramsey's gone down. He's fouled. Free kick for Villa, and that was unnecessary from Newcastle's point of view. They had possession of the ball. Guimaraes just took his eye off it. Heading towards the last 5 minutes of the game. They're deep in added time at Selhurst Park. Crystal Palace still leading Sheffield United by 3-2. The ball is at the feet of Ezri Konza here for Villa. They're in the claret and blue, playing towards that yawning two-tiered famous stand, the Holt End, away to our right. Konza, right-footed pass across to Douglas Luiz. Newcastle have every single outfield player behind the ball. Luiz across to McGinn, 30 yards from goal in the inside right channel. Wide it goes to Bailey. Bailey thinks about taking Livramento on. Almiron comes in to try and help out. He beats both of them. Lays it back to Cash. Cash slipped, couldn't control the ball, and now Anthony Gordon tries to get away from McGinn down the left-hand side, and then does a little step over to dummy him and drives a low pass looking for Murphy. Emi Martinez read that brilliantly off his line like a flash to clear into the Newcastle half.
That was superb goalkeeping. You're asking for sweeper keepers. He was right, it's a high line, and he was right up almost in the corner of the centre circle.
Jacob Murphy's gone down off the ball there. Play was inside the Newcastle half. Murphy was starting to make a run. Longley was the closest to him. Beg your pardon, it's Murphy who's down. Longstaff was down as well inside his own half, but it's Murphy who was caught off the ball.
I don't think he's complaining too much about it, so I don't think there was any foul involved there.
No.
Well, certainly not in Murphy, but there was on Longstaff.
On Longstaff, yeah. So free kick inside the Newcastle half. It's the voice of Pat Nevin. You can hear at Villa Park here on 5 Live and BBC Sounds. We're at Anfield tomorrow night on 5 Live. Liverpool-Chelsea in the company of John Murray and Chris Sutton. Free kick is floated down the right. Trippier stooped to head the ball in field and then accidentally banged his head there into Alex Moreno. He's down hurt. The referee's got to stop the game because he's injured his head. I'm not sure it's a foul because Trippier sort of headed his opponent.
Yeah, as a head injury. I think he's complaining about his neck, so it's kind of pushed his neck back a little bit, but he's got on his feet very quickly. The physio's halfway across the pitch and he's turned round and come back off again. Trippier does not want to spend the 30 seconds off the field, so in times gone by he'd have gone off and wanted to come back on right away. With the new rules, he's decided, no, I'll stay on.
Okay, and Newcastle have a free kick, it looks like to me at the moment, Pat, the way that ball is placed and the way that Villa defenders are placing themselves inside their own penalty area.
Yes, and Villa players are fuming about that. It didn't look to you or I like it was a free kick. It looks as if he'd run in. Trippier's having a discussion with the assistant referee. I thought it was some Newcastle fans over there, but it's the assistant referee saying, you should have seen that.
So free kick Newcastle, they lead 3-1. It's eating up a bit of time for them as well. We're into the 88th minute of the game. Newcastle's only away win in the Premier League so far this season was a thumping 8-0 win at Bramall Lane against Sheffield United. Otherwise it's been pretty meagre stuff. 2 draws and 7 defeats. This will be a really big win for them tonight, considering Villa's hugely impressive home record as well. Trippier's free kick into the near post. Moreno down on his knees, heads the ball away. It loops out towards Trippier. Ramsey just shrugs off Trippier, wins the ball, slides it forward. Zaniolo looking to play it into the path of Moreno. Not a good enough pass. Murphy intercepts for Newcastle, runs forward, doesn't see a teammate in support. There's Guimaraes to his right hand side. Then the ball is played back to Murphy. Murphy with his back to the Villa goal. First touch takes it away from him. Villa get it back to goalkeeper Martinez. He clears up towards Zaniolo. Watched that perfectly onto his left thigh. Controlled it well. And now the Villa fans who remain in this ground, because I can see a few empty seats popping up around the ground here. Some Villa fans not believing it's going to happen.
That's quite late.
Yes, it is. And Almiron onto it for Newcastle. Inside the Villa half, being chased by Konza, drags the ball back. Guimaraes in support, wants it. Almiron gives it to him. Here's Guimaraes on his right foot. Support on the outside. Chance to kill it from Longstaff. Great save from Emi Martinez.
I mean, brilliant play. Well done, Almiron. But the pass from Guimaraes there was genius. He knew the player was flying out and behind him. Honestly, he's got eyes in the back of his head, that man.
Douglas Luiz with a magnificent diagonal ball finds Leon Bailey. Bailey up against Livramento, beats him, starts to bring the ball in towards the Newcastle area. Cross comes into the box. Watkins decides not to challenge for that. Didn't want to concede a foul. Douglas Luiz just inside the area, chips the cross in. Zaniolo's there. And Newcastle again looking tired now, just happy to hoist the ball away and out for a throw to Villa on the left.
It's understandable, Chad. They have worked so hard, and you know, they are breaking forward. They are asking questions time and again as well.
Douglas Luiz, short pass to John McGinn. This is about 40 yards from the Newcastle goal. 89th minute of the game. McGinn, long ranger, swerving and dipping, but Dubravka gets his body behind and covers it. Full time at Selhurst Park. Henry Moran.
Palace 3, Sheffield United 2. Twice the visitors led in the first half. Twice Eve goals clawed Palace level. Michael Elise's second half winner was a beauty, but both he and Eze hobbled off. First win of the year for Palace. 3-2 it's finished against still bottom Sheffield United.
Right, 11 minutes of added time up there. Crystal Palace have won the game. 9 minutes of added time remaining here at Villa Park, and that again will give Aston Villa real encouragement. They are not giving this up just yet, trailing Newcastle though by 3-1. Arsenal 2-1 winners away to Nottingham Forest. Fulham 0, Everton 0, Luton 4, Brighton 0. Palace have beaten Sheffield United by 3-2. We're on air through until 10:30 on 5 Live Sport tonight, and then all the reaction will be there for you in the Football Daily podcast on the BBC Sounds app tomorrow morning. Matty Cash, right-footed pass across to Konza inside the Newcastle half. Douglas Luiz gets involved, plays back to McGinn. Cross to Cash. Leon Bailey, light blue socks rolled down, finds Cash again. Cross into the near post, nearly went behind for a corner. Did go behind for a corner because Almiron wasn't able to keep the ball in play. Pat Nevin.
Yeah, I'm looking in there and watched. The referee's actually spotted something off the ball. Well done spotting it. Because there's a game within a game going on there between Zaniolo and Dan Burn. They're punching lumps at each other off the ball. It's ridiculous.
Right, 1 minute of added time been played, 8 minutes still to go. Eddie Howe and Jason Tyndall looking a little anxious here ahead of this Villa corner. Bailey's delivery, good delivery, headed over the bar. Nicely timed run by Longley, leapt well, good power on the header, but couldn't keep it down. That'll be a goal kick for Newcastle.
It has been very intriguing, the game management by both managers here. You know, when that entire first half where you thought, you've got to change it. Villa understood what they're trying to do, but it wasn't working. And then they don't make a change, and then eventually bring Bailey on, and they're back into the game belatedly. And it's only a few minutes before Eddie Howe spots that. He adapts it, goes to the back five, and it's killed it, hasn't it? Not completely, but it's really stopped Bailey creating. He was creating it well before then, and somehow Emery has to then adapt again, but he hasn't. He's not been quick enough.
Matty Cash slips inside his own half on the turn. Gordon in with the challenge, concedes the throw to Aston Villa. Going into this one tonight, they were unbeaten in 17 Premier League games at home with 16 wins and a draw. Tonight that run looks like it's coming to an end. Villa 1, Newcastle 3, but let's not speak too soon. 7 minutes of football still to be played here. Matty Cash walking pace inside his own half, plays back to Ezri Konza. Newcastle players just back off, drop towards the halfway line. Douglas Luiz receives the pass. The Brazilian turns, just crosses the halfway line, plays it out to Moreno on the left. Moreno gives it to Luiz. Luiz decides to try and run it past Murphy, then slides one through to Zaniolo. Zaniolo, his pass is blocked. Challenge on Longstaff, who's gone down holding his ankle. Newcastle keep playing, advantage here. Murphy plays it forward. Little twist and a turn from Fabian Schär, that was inside the Villa half. And the challenge on Jacob Ramsey's not a good one. That'll be a free kick to Villa.
Yeah, God knew exactly what he was doing there, and his manager won't actually complain about that, because they were breaking into a good area there. He sold themselves slightly, Gordon, so he took the player out. So one complaint really Villa fans would rightly have about their team in the second half: when they had a chance there, they've not moved it quick enough.
Leon Bailey trying to get on the end of the John McGinn pass. Livramento did just enough to stop him there. McGinn gets a foot on the ball from the Newcastle clearance, but this one runs to Schär. He's under no pressure at the moment. Left-footed pass finds Trippier. Trippier knocks one through a gap, playing the ball forward. Guimaraes, boundless energy, still running forward. This time he's lost it, and Jacob Ramsey gets on the ball and starts running forward. Villa player takes a tumble. Play continues. That cross looking for Watkins didn't reach him. Murphy on the ball for Newcastle inside his own half, does well. Guimaraes closed down quickly by Zaniolo, fouled by Zaniolo. Free kick for Newcastle, and Nicola Zaniolo gets a booking. And Pat Nevin, you've got your head in your hands.
I've had my head in my hands every time he's been near the ball. To be honest, he held the ball up once and it looked nice. Every other time he's basically actually been pushing, kicking, punching, losing possession, looking quite lumping. He doesn't look sharp enough at this level. You know, they need somebody to kind of help Ollie Watkins now and again. Now, come on, if you're not going to game every, understand it, you might be a bit rusty, and I'll give you that, but he's actually not helping his team at all by giving away silly free kicks like that and stopping any chance of building momentum. And he's done it time and again since he's come on.
Villa Park now emptying quickly. 5 minutes of added time still remaining. Villa need 2 goals to try and get something out of this. Ooh. Long ball downfield from Emi Martinez. Was it Trippier who was up in the air trying to win the header there? He's taken the tumble, slowly picking himself up. Villa have got the game going again, and Ollie Watkins has the ball at his feet wide on the left. So much to do there, though. He's got 3 Newcastle defenders for company, and eventually just gets run off the ball, and it's going to be a goal kick for the away team.
It's hard work for Watkins. You know, time and again we've seen in this game, he wants to run onto poles. He just doesn't seem to get it at all at the moment. If he gets the ball when he's running at players, he's had to go far too deep to get it. Most of the time he's getting the ball played up with the back to the goal with 2 men on him, and it's not his strength. It's not what he's best at. It must be very, very frustrating for him, because all he wants to be given chances. He was given 1 chance tonight. He scored it.
Yeah. 4 minutes remaining. Villa 1, Newcastle 3. Ball's back in play. Dan Burn jumps to win a header on the halfway line. Anthony Gordon gets his body in the way. The offside flag is up, and we'll have to wait and see after the game to get the news on Alexander Isak, who basically just sat down towards the end of the first half and knew that he wasn't able to continue. Left the field seemingly not in too much trouble, but shaking his head. Callum Wilson still out injured as well.
I mean, it looks like a pull, that, either a calf or whatever, but he was holding his knee slightly, but you know, he could walk fine, so it's not ultra serious, but it doesn't look as if he can shake that off in a day or 2.
3 minutes remaining. Villa 1, Newcastle 3. Newcastle nearly there. Nearly got themselves the 3 points and only a second away win of the season. Thinking about making a late change to eat up a little bit of time. Ball is chipped into the Newcastle area, headed away by Livramento. Almiron is there, scampers across to clear the ball with his left foot, and John McGinn comes charging back into his own half, collects it, touches it twice. No Newcastle player anywhere near him. Up to the halfway line, looking for the lofted ball over the top. Well, Bailey will chase. Swing and a miss from Livramento in the left back position. So Bailey's able to collect it. Matty Cash makes the run on the outside. His cross is blocked down by the byline, and that'll go behind for a Villa corner. Emil Kraft is waiting to come on for Newcastle.
It's not a shock they're bringing on another defender at this point in time. We'll do anything to get these 3 points. They're so important after how difficult a time Newcastle have had recently.
So Leon Bailey waits to take the corner, drills it in with his left foot, doesn't get enough on that. Cleared away by Almiron at the near post. Douglas Luiz just gets there first for Villa, passes the ball back to John McGinn. McGinn inside the centre circle. Anthony Gordon comes across to try and get a challenge in. McGinn takes it away from him. Sees Douglas Luiz in a lot of space on the right. Luiz's low cross comes in. Zaniolo's first touch gets away from him, and then he thunders into another challenge. This could be trouble for Nicolo Zaniolo. First touch got away from him. He's gone flying in on Livramento. I think the Newcastle players are making the point that potentially should be a second yellow card, and I think that's why Zaniolo's staying down and sort of claiming that he's hurt as well, because I think he knows he might be in trouble here.
Do you know what? I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt in that one. I certainly didn't mean it. He's just going to try and make a challenge, get close to the ball, and you know he's basically clearing it, and his follow through has caught Zaniolo. So you know, we've been harsh on him before. I won't be harsh on him there. No. He's just trying.
Referees decided exactly the same thing as Pat Nevin, so Zaniolo will stay on the field. Late change for Newcastle sees Anthony Gordon just being encouraged to speed up that snail-like progress he was making towards the edge of the pitch. He then decides to turn and applaud the travelling support, who as ever have been fantastic for Newcastle again tonight, and it looks like their trip is going to be well worth it. We've played almost all of the 9 minutes of added time, so Newcastle are seconds away here from sealing the win. 2 goals from Fabian Schär in the first half. Jacob Murphy sliding in at the far post to convert the Almiron cross for the third goal. Leon Bailey coming on a little bit too late for Aston Villa, creating the goal for Ollie Watkins. Watkins nods it forwards for Bailey to chase it. Dan Burn unceremoniously just thumps the ball high into this Trinity Road stand that we're sitting in. Replacement ball appears immediately in Matty Cash's hands. My stopwatch tells me we've now played the 9 minutes of added time. Step over from Watkins, left foot curler, slices it badly. Behind it goes for the goal kick. And will we have time for the goal kick? No, we won't. Full-time whistle blows. Aston Villa suffer their first home defeat of the season tonight, and Newcastle with only their second away win of the campaign. A real turn up for the books. An excellent performance by Newcastle. Fabian Schär scoring 2 in the first half. Jacob Murphy with the third. As we've seen this season, Pat, playing at Villa Park for the opposition is a very, very difficult thing to do, and Newcastle have done a quite tremendous job tonight.
They have done. In the first half, there wasn't a great deal between the two teams, but some bad defending from those set pieces in the first half from Villa. They've set out in a 4-4-2. Sometimes that doesn't work. You leave yourself too open in the midfield, don't control the midfield, and they didn't do that. I thought they would change it. I thought Emery would change that well before the first half ended, because it wasn't working. He didn't. I was sure he would change it at half time. He didn't. They went 3-0 down, but that time game's gone. And then he makes a change, and suddenly it all looks really good. And Villa are like themselves again, and they were a joy to watch, and it was exciting. But then he just shut up after that. Eddie Howe, really good technical management of the play. But the one thing to say about Newcastle, A, deserved it, B, the spark and the fight and the energy is back. Well done there.
Aston Villa fans certainly not used to this feeling. Villa Park is emptying quickly, apart from one section. Both tiers of the Doug Ellis stand right opposite us, full of black and white shirted Newcastle fans celebrating a rare away win in the Premier League this season. It's finished here. Villa 1, Newcastle 3.
Ali and Pat, for now, thank you very much. We'll get much more on that between now and 10:30. Just to remind you of what's been happening this evening. In our first commentary game of the evening, at the City Ground, Nottingham Forest were beaten 2-1 by Arsenal. Goals from Jesus and Saka gave Arsenal a 2-0 advantage. Awoniyi with the reply for Nottingham Forest to set up a tense finish at the end, but Arsenal come away with all 3 points to move to within 2 points of the league leaders Liverpool at the top of the table. Luton with a 4-0 victory against Brighton, including a hat-trick for Adebayo. It means that Luton move out of the relegation places, because not only did they get that win against Brighton, but Everton were held to a goalless draw by Fulham at Craven Cottage. Loads of chances in that game. In fact, Statman Dave has been tweeting about it, that Fulham had an XG of 1.71, Everton 2.15. So a combined XG total of 3.86. They created 9 big chances, but not a goal between them. Crystal Palace with a hugely significant win, 3-2 victory over Sheffield United, who led twice in that game. Ben Brereton Diaz up and running for Sheffield United. Eze with the reply for Crystal Palace. Then Sheffield United back in front through McAtee. Eze again with the leveller, and Michael Elise made it 3-2 for Crystal Palace, and that's a hugely significant win for them that leaves them relatively comfortable now towards the bottom of the table. And then, as we've been hearing, Newcastle with a big win against Aston Villa. Newcastle with their terrible away record, Aston Villa with their brilliant home record, but it went Newcastle's way at Villa Park. In the Championship this evening, Coventry and Bristol City drew 2-2. Leicester, top of the table, gave themselves an even bigger cushion with a 3-1 win against Swansea. In League One, it finished Oxford 2, Portsmouth 2. In League 2, Sutton 1, Harrogate 2. In the EFL Trophy playoffs, Blackpool won Bolton 0. Bradford down to 10 men in that game, but beat Doncaster by 1-0. Peterborough 3-1 winners against Wimbledon. In the Scottish Premiership, Aberdeen 1, Dundee 1, Livingston 2, Ross County 2 in that bottom of the table clash. And in League 2 in Scotland, East 5-0, Spartans 3, and Elgin 2, Clyde 1. We'll reflect as much as we can on this evening's games in the next few minutes, and then it's time for Gordon Smart. Hi, Gordon. Gordon's not there just now. You'll be able to hear him in 11 minutes or so don't worry too much about that one. Big night of Premier League football though. Aston Villa have lost for the first time at home in the Premier League since February 2023.
John Anderson's here, former Newcastle fullback. Hello, Ando.
Bridie, how are you?
Marco Gabbiadini is with us, former Sunderland striker. Hello, Marco.
Hello. Good
How was
evening.
the family meal? Is that all right?
Good.
Good. What did you have?
Rabbit.
What?
It's sort of it's an Italian.
I wasn't expecting that
dish. No, it's
okay.
Yeah, it's a bit of a traditional European dish.
Okay, yeah, right. Yes,
Yeah.
yes. It's
Rabbit
more on the
white
continent.
wine and rosemary. Very nice.
More on the continent than it is here.
Mm.
Yeah, I'll put a little bunny rabbit. Anyway, Ando is back in the studio tonight. Obviously, he was out last night. Ando, first question for you. What was in your box?
I'm not there.
Oh, if you're not?
No.
You want to do it live on air?
No.
Oh. Okay. If you missed last night's show, Ando had a box delivered here and wouldn't let me open it in his absence. Still don't know what's in it then.
I haven't even got it yet.
It's next to the desk from there.
Right.
You go and get it. You can
Because
get it.
I was expecting to come in and see it under your arms because you were looking after it so much.
I did look after it very well.
Very good of you.
Yes.
Much appreciated.
Well, last night we were wondering what was in Ando's box. We knew what was in Villa's. That was Fabian Schär, and he made his most of the time there, didn't he?
Murphy's ball. Oh, it's a good one to get Anthony Gordon in. Gordon away into the area. Gordon has a shot block. Isak's tried to bend it across goal and inside the far post, and it's wide. Here are Villa. Moussa Diaby in the area. Oh, he didn't shoot. He went to play it.
No
Why
right foot.
didn't he take the shot?
No right foot, has he?
Murphy into the penalty area. Murphy hits it low. It's spilled. Following up, it's blocked. Longstaff with the effort. Longley with the block. Gordon in the box. On his right over the top. Trippier delivers. It's stabbed in. It's there from Fabian Schär. And in the 33rd minute, it's Aston Villa 0, Newcastle United 1. Here, and Trippier's going to try to help them do it again. It's to the near post, across the box. Gordon volleys it back in. It's hit the bar. Where's the rebound? It's in again. And it's in again from Fabian Schär. And it's Aston Villa 0, Newcastle United 2. And it's broken nicely for Gordon. Almiron makes a run forward. Miley as well. They've got Murphy to the right. Gordon through for Almiron in the box. Murphy backstick. Here's the ball. Murphy. It's in. It's in from Jacob Murphy at the far post to send those away fans into raptures. It's Aston Villa 0, Newcastle United 3. To McGinn on halfway. Good layoff to Watkins into the area. Diaby's onto it. Around Dubravka. There's a player on the line to put it behind. Bailey on the right. And Watkins in the centre. A quick Aston Villa ball forwards. And the cross turned in by Watkins for his 15th of the season. No clean sheet for Newcastle. Miley went for the ball in the air and lost it. Watkins has played in. Watkins has scored, but
offside.
The flag is up. And in it comes from Trippier. Botman heads forwards. Fabian Schär. Oh, wide at the near post. Almost a hat-trick for Fabian Schär.
Yeah, massive win for us. Not underestimated by me or anyone internally. We knew we needed to win and perform well today away from home. You know, a lot of question marks asked about our away form. So that's a big win.
Yeah, massive, wasn't it? They did win. They did perform well, Ando.
Performed excellently. Yeah, they were great from start to finish.
Surprise you a bit?
Yeah, very much so. I mean, we spoke last night, going to somewhere where, what was it, Villa unbeaten in 17, I think 116 of them. Tough place to go. Our away form had been really poor. Only the one win away from home all season. And in the league, that is. But, last night looked like they had that all mojo back. That spring was there. That
why was that, do you think? Is it just because they've had a bit more time?
Maybe it's because of a little bit of a break they've had. They've recharged the batteries. They've come back. They put Villa on the back foot right from the off. They got in their faces, didn't let them play out from the back. Worked their socks off, gave them no space whatsoever, and just got forward and bodies forward whenever they could. Been saying, and I've said it quite a bit, that in my opinion, we don't score enough goals from set pieces, because the height and everything that we've got in there. And here we are, the last 2 games, we scored 4 goals from it. So
yes.
All of a sudden, they've turned that round as well. But it was, look at the performance. Everything about it, you can have no complaints whatsoever.
Fabian Schär popping up with a couple as well.
Yeah, could have had a hat-trick as well. Yeah, he could. Langlet got a cross and got a block on. It could well have been a hat-trick, but yeah, the first one, we've tried so many different corner kicks and they look great, but nothing has come with them. This one we've just stuck straight, just whipped it in. It's fallen straight to him. It's a good finish as well, the first one. Second one's come from second phase because it's recycled. But yeah, the first one, was just put it in there, it's dropped, and he's finished it really, really well. The second one actually is a real good finish because it's a poacher's goal. It's a type of goal you expect a centre forward to score. Following in, comes back off the crossbar, and he's there. All the defenders just stood rooted. He gambled on it, got himself in there, and tucked it away.
Somebody did get in touch actually on Monday evening when Steve Howie was doing the show rather than yourself, with that old suggestion again. Get him in midfield.
Why?
Howie put that to bed. Don't worry.
Why do you want to play? Why do you want to split your best central defensive partnership up? They were brilliant again last night.
Bring in Big Jamal was the suggestion.
Why? They were great again last night.
There has been talk that Newcastle might need reinforcements in midfield, though. And that would be
I said last night that I thought the game would be won and lost in midfield. They held their own in midfield last night. Very much so. Yeah. Young Miley yet again. Ran out of legs a little bit second half, but first half I thought he was great. Guimaraes put himself about. Sean Longstaff ran all night, so no complaints in that department, not last night anyway.
Let's hear a bit from Eddie Howe, then a bit more from Eddie Howe. The first 2 goals, as you have just been saying, Ando, came from set pieces, and Howe says it's important to capitalise on pressure when it's created.
Yeah, I think we're always a threat from set plays when we're playing well. It's a big part of our game. But I thought in general play we were really good today and had a number of chances that we didn't take, and the third goal was also a really big moment in the game because I think at 2-0 it's still a dangerous scoreline. 3-0 gave us that cushion, and Aston Villa are always going to have a spell in the game, and when they did, we defended well at the end. Hopefully it's just given us the confidence to say we can beat anybody like we felt last year. If we performed at our best, we felt we were capable of going anywhere and winning. I think we lost that at times this season, I think understandably so, probably with our injury run that we had, and the team became disjointed and at times unrecognisable from the team that we were, and it's nice to know it's still there, and today was a very strong delivery.
Yeah, I guess it's a relief to him that it's still. I'm
sure it was. Yes. Yeah, I'm sure it was a huge relief for him.
Because if the run carries on much longer, you do start to think, don't you? What has happened?
Yeah, you
Why
do.
Why can't they do it anymore?
And look, whether people accept it or not, yes, you've had 2 wins away from home in the cup, but the league form hasn't been great. We've lost a couple at home as well in recent weeks. So there was a bit of pressure going into that game.
Yes.
Especially to a side, as I said, whose home record has been phenomenal. Yeah. It's been incredible.
Yeah.
And to go there and win and win in the fashion that they won in, I think he'd be over the moon with that. He'd be absolutely delighted with it.
If you'd like to send us a message, 08000 321 333 on WhatsApp. Start your message with that as BBC. Or, of course, you can text BBC Radio Newcastle as well, 81333. Again, beginning with the letters BBC. There was a down, though. There usually is, isn't there, in terms of Newcastle season this season with injuries.
Yeah.
And while Alexander Isak went off, we don't know how serious it is. It's his groin again. So that will be assessed. He has had some groin issues, hasn't he, in recent weeks? But let's just hope it's just a bit of a twinge and nothing more than that.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't see anything. He just, all of a sudden you look up and he's just sat down and physios came on and just off he went. So don't know how serious it is. You hope it's nothing too serious, but we'll have to wait and see on that one.
Yes, and it's obviously an issue if he ends up being injured in Wilson again as well.
Yeah.
But we've had this conversation already this season, haven't we? Anthony Gordon went through the middle, didn't he? They did actually alternate a little bit when they were on together, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. They did change it about a bit. Isak drifted out to the left side. They rotated it a bit. They can do that, they can do it. But the pace, Isak's pace, Gordon's pace, caused them all sorts of problems. Murphy on the right side, look at 3-1 didn't flatter them at all. It could have been more. Sean Longstaff's missed a real
great chance,
gilt-edged chance right at the death. So
he normally tucks those away as well, doesn't he?
Yeah.
When he runs into those positions.
Yeah, you go either side of the keeper, and but it is what it is. So there was nothing lucky about it. It was thoroughly deserved. But as I say, the pace of Isak, the pace of Gordon, who again was electric, just caused Villa problems all night.
Now, Mickey Almiron came off the bench as well, didn't he? He had been out through illness, out of the game against Fulham on Saturday, but he played well, plus an assist. Eddie Howe was pleased with Almiron's contribution.
Miggy yesterday felt good, felt better, and then today he didn't feel as good. So he's probably said to me, I think this morning, 50%. So I don't know whether he wanted to play 50% of the game or he's only felt 50% well. But he did so well when he came on, because he wasn't 100%. But created a goal, looked really good, and then tired quite quickly. But what an effort from a great professional.
Yeah, not much fun, I guess, when you're not feeling great, but he didn't look like he was ill, did he?
Decent ball, ball across the box for Murphy, who knocked it from one foot onto the other at the back post, and whether he's going to get the goal or not, or whether it's going to be credited to Mourinho, there's been debate. Yeah,
I was looking at it again today,
but it was a great ball knocked across the 6-yard box, because it's taken the keeper and defenders out of the game. Keeper can't come to it. It's too far away from him. It's in behind defenders, and Almiron did what Almiron does when he came on. He ran around, he chased, he harried.
There's been a bit of discussion as to whether he might leave this transfer window. Obviously the deadline's tomorrow night, so it's looking like that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Maybe he wants to prove a bit of a point as well and show his worth.
Yeah, I mean it's something that we don't know the full ins and outs of. Were the club happy for him to go, or we don't know? Did he not want to go, and was a deal already set up and he didn't want to go, or whatever? But whatever. Look, at this moment in time, we've got a few hours left in this window. We can't afford to be letting players go. So we need all this squad around us, especially if, as it looks like, there's going to be nobody coming in before the window closes.
Yeah, the window closes 11 o'clock tomorrow night, so what does that make it then? 28 hours roughly. I've done my thumbs right anyway. So yes, we will of course tomorrow night on the programme be keeping a very close eye on any potential developments surrounding Newcastle, Sunderland and everywhere else as well. It's been a quiet window so far. Maybe it'll spring into life tomorrow. Sven Botman looking like he's pretty much back to his best.
Yeah, he was excellent last night. He was big, he was strong, got close to people. It's taken him a little bit, to be fair, because he looked like he'd lost half a yard, but last night he looked definitely back to his best. And that partnership with him and Cher, it's just, it's great, because especially when we have the ball at the back, because what happens is Cher basically comes and plays right back, Trippier pushes right on, Dan Bourne comes in as an additional centre back, and they just play out from there, and 9 times out of 10 everything usually comes down that right side. So the two of them last night were sensational. The back four as a whole were brilliant. You know, individually and collectively, they were brilliant.
Still need to move Cher forward into midfielder, don't they?
No.
And Luton next. Now, you might think, well, that would be a good chance to pick up 3 more points. Luton, though, they're playing well, and they won 4-0 against Brighton.
What a result that was. Yeah, I mean, I don't think anybody's seen that coming. I think that was a right coup and buster last night as well.
I've been back in Fulham all season. Luton all season. I backed them to stay up when no one else did, didn't I? Remember?
Yeah.
Might still
haven't stayed up yet.
No, they haven't yet. But they're giving it a good go.
But they are giving it a good go. I mean, look, as we know, Kenilworth Road's not the easiest place to go. I think their home form will dictate whether they stay up or not, because it's a tight ground. It hasn't changed over the years. Not the biggest pitch. Crowds right on top of you. But that was a massive win for them yesterday against a side who, good football inside, obviously got in their faces, made it really difficult for them. Brighton keep trying to play out from the back. They keep doing the same things. They're not going to change the philosophy, but that was a massive win for Luton last night.
A message from William in Washington has caught my eye. He says the highlight of a great win at Villa was Bruno swapping his shirt for Kinder Chocolate with a tune. I didn't realise that had happened.
Yeah.
So we need to try and track down that fan, don't we? So if anybody knows who it was, it would be great if we could speak to them.
Track down the Kinder.
So the fan was a Villa fan. So yeah, Colin and Dom are going to struggle to get her, I reckon.
Not really a Villa fan, then, is she really? If she's prepared to give sweets away for a Newcastle show.
Well, I should stick it on a well-known internet auction site and she'll be laughing.
Well, she obviously wasn't upset by the result.
Well, that's nice. It's a nice touch, isn't it? And she'd be excited. Do you think she shouldn't have? Oh, you old school, you have a heart.
What? I'd have been, if I was a Villa fan, I'd have been absolutely gutted. And if he asked me for my Kinder, I know what I'd have said to him. And I wouldn't have been give us your short.
No. Well, that was a good bit of quick thinking, good bit of trading there. Right then, let's have a chat to the one and only George, who was on the show last night and said it would be 3-0 to Newcastle. Did you have a bet on that, George?
Yeah, I did. Hi.
Oh, you got it wrong.
George, that consolation for Villa, as it turned out to be, that must have been a sickener.
I know. It was. I thought, oh, great, I've scored, you know. And then they scored. I should have kept my mouth shut and just waited.
But a pretty good prediction, George, if you ask me, because not many people would have thought Newcastle would go down there and get 3.
No, it's just when I get a feeling, a strong feeling, I feel that we'll score a few goals. And I've always said that, you know, it's like when we first signed Amaron and Joe Linton, everybody's complaining that they were no good and all that. And I says, well, look, you've got to give them time and then they'll come round, and look at them now. You know, they're scoring goals and so we're not doing too bad, you know.
So what's your feeling for Luton at the weekend?
Oh, that's a home win without a doubt, that.
What's your score prediction for that one then?
Well, to be honest, I mean, Luton's, they're not a good team, but they're not a bad team. And I've got to give them the dues that they're trying. But my prediction is going to be 4-1.
Okay, that means you're going to have a bet on 4-2, does it, Ando?
No, hey, no. That's, I mean, you nearly got it spot on last night.
Yeah.
I have to say, I thought you were way off the mark, but it was nice to be proved wrong.
Do you know what people keep saying to me, Ando?
What?
It's when you're confident before a match, they don't like it.
Yeah.
Last night you weren't very confident.
No, I wasn't confident at all. No,
and people like that.
Yeah,
they feel that Newcastle always do better when you like that.
I think I'll have to stay that way.
Yes,
but when you do that all the time, they say you're miserable.
Well, no, Ando, if you just keep thinking them thoughts, we'll keep winning.
What did you like best about the performance last night, George?
To be honest, I was working, and so I didn't have a chance to listen to the game. But when I turned it on for the second half, and then I heard Newcastle had scored the third goal, I went, yeah, get in. And then next thing I know, they've got a consolation goal, and I just switched the radio off. I was blowing me top. I was calling them all these buggers on.
Well, you could have done with VAR intervening, but that was not going to happen, was it, for that one, unfortunately?
No, definitely not. Because this is the thing about VAR. It's spoiling our game.
It did again last night.
You said that, didn't you?
Because Razor's talking to me, and I'm saying, I don't know. Is it given? Is it not given? The referee stood there.
Yeah.
And how long does it? It takes
forever. And then you
forever.
saw the replays, and you knew what the decision should be.
You've seen the replays, and you went, why are they taking so long?
Why is it taking this long?
Why is it taking so long?
It's ruining it for everybody.
It is. It's spoiling it for everybody. I mean, if you can see it on a TV screen.
Yeah.
And they've got all the technology in front of them. Why is it taking them as long?
Are they just being really, really sure? I don't know. But you can see, it's obvious. Yeah, I don't know.
Well, my opinion is it's spoiling the game. And if they're going to continue with this VAR, instead of adding extra minutes, you just say continue with the game and not add those minutes on for them wasting time on the game. Because it's like I say, it's spoiling the game.
Yeah, and it means you can't celebrate goals properly.
No.
Yeah, I think after when this season has ended, we'll do a VAR special again and discuss it all.
Yeah.
And then come up with a conclusion. We shall pass on to the Premier League.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's a conspiracy theory, but every time we play like to Liverpool or Man City and it goes to VAR, we never seem to get the judgments.
That is a conspiracy theory then.
Incorrect judgments. I mean, Isaac scored a goal and they said it was offside. And when you looked at it, it was like on an angle. And I'm thinking, well, hang on, how can he be offside? You know, and that gets me mad, you know. So VAR, for me, it's spoiled the game, you know. And if they keep going this way, you know, I think it's going to be like people saying, I've had enough of this, you know.
Anyway, let's not let VAR spoil the result last night. George, well done for predicting it almost correctly. And thanks for coming on again tonight.
Right, okay, lads. Have a good evening.
Cheers, George. All the best.
Thank you very much indeed,
What
George.
price do you think 4-1 is?
4-1 against Luton at the weekend for Newcastle to win 4-1. I don't know. Would it be something like 33-1?
20-1?
This is short.
It's a bit. It's a bit on the stingy side,
isn't it? Because I mean, that's it's
I'd want a bit more than that.
Yeah, it needs a lot to happen.
Yeah,
doesn't it?
Yeah.
Mike in Whitley Bay says Newcastle were excellent. Murphy was great. A top win. Can Razor ask Eddie Howe if Isak and Wilson are actually on a job share? Well, yeah, hopefully Wilson will come back if Isak's out, and they are kind of sharing that role, aren't they?
Well, fingers crossed. One of them will be back the weekend.
Otherwise, it's Anthony Gordon up front, isn't it?
Yeah, you would think if neither of them are fit, Gordon will play up front, Murphy on the right, Almiron on the left.
John is en route to Glasgow. He says, thank you for making the journey better for me. It's a pleasure, John. Last night, I thought was arguably our best result of the season. Great to see Cher get 2 goals. He reminds me of Philippe Albert when he scores. Don't know if you would agree with that. All the lads played their part. Everybody put in a shift, did the club proud. It is a big game against Luton on Saturday. And do you think with Isak's injury, Ando, we will need a striker before the deadline, says John? I don't think
we're going to get one, John. No. As much as I'd like to see one coming in, I don't think it will happen. Just got to keep your fingers crossed that Wilson could be back for the weekend and that the injury that Isak has picked up isn't too serious.
Do you see a bit of Philippe Albert in Fabien Cher?
I think Albert's got no, I think Cher's got a little bit, an awful lot more nastiness about him.
Okay. Well, you like that?
Yeah, I don't dislike it. No,
they're both capable of pinging one in from outside the box.
Oh, they are. Yeah. I mean, if he had got the hat trick last night, it would have been unbelievable.
Yes.
But I mean, he strikes a great ball. There's no doubt about it. He's quite capable of shooting from distance. But the 2 last night, they were goal scorers goals, really.
This one's from Brian. I feared the worst, but just when I was feeling gloomy about the rest of the campaign, the team puts in the away performance of the season. All the players were at least an 8 out of 10, and the manager's tactics and the Tino substitution was spot on. The only negative was yet another injury to Isak. We have 2 great forwards, but they are far too fragile, says Brian. And this one says, evening lads, talking about eating rabbit, which Marco was earlier, I tried ostrich meat for the first time last week.
Whoa.
So this is from Jarrow Sean, who's on a ship.
It's like chicken.
Well, that's what he says. He says it wasn't bad. It tasted a bit like chicken. Yes,
everything tastes like chicken.
Apparently so. But it makes you run as fast as out, says Jarrow Sean. Thank you, Jarrow Sean. Who, yes, he's on a ship sailing to Las Palmas. Safe voyage. I hope it's not too stormy out there, Sean. Thanks very much indeed for getting in touch. This is Total Sport. Now, we should mention Ken in Hebburn because we were talking about George and we talked to George earlier, predicted 3-0. Well, Ken says I predicted 2-1 to Newcastle on Monday. So he did. So, yeah, he wasn't too far wrong either, was he? Let's be honest, he was only a goal wrong. He says, I'm glad I got the score wrong. Though onwards and upwards, says Ken. And Brian says, hi, Simon. Fabian Cher rhymes with Philippe Albert. They could use the same song. Yeah, you could sing the same. Was that the Rupert the Bear one that was for Philippe Albert?
Yeah.
It could be sung for Fabian Cher, couldn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, it could be.
You should start it, I think, Brian, at the next game and see if it catches on. Let's have a crack on with Eddie next. He's a Newcastle supporter. Hello, Eddie. Welcome to BBC Radio Newcastle. How are you doing?
Hey, Eddie.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, hi. Thanks for having me again. Just a few notes about last night's match. I don't know. Can you remember? I ran back after the City match, and I mentioned a few things. Eddie Howe could have done that match to prevent the loss, and I think last night he did that. The game management was top notch because after we conceded that goal, he put Tino on. And then stop the floodgate basically, and after that, they had no clue how to attack again, and then also obviously, Almiron obviously came on in South Gordon, so he was playing on the right side, and I said before he should be on that side because he's left footed, and the way he crossed that ball is just natural for him. So that second point is good. Then the third thing is he actually wasted a bit of time to put what's his name? Do you know who I mean? Ando on the last minute.
Kraft.
Yeah, that's it. Just to waste a bit of time and then that's it. We were so I was so happy we got the 3 points, and I think that sums up last night match. I think the game management was just superb.
Yeah, I think I agree. I think the game management was great. I think when Villa got the goal, he decided to go to 3 centre backs and he brought Livramento on at left wing back, and Villa just couldn't play through us. They had nowhere to go. They played across us, played in front of us, and I think we got everything spot on last night. Sometimes you make decisions and managers make decisions and coaches make decisions, and sometimes they pay off, sometimes they don't. And last night I would say that Eddie Howe got everything spot on, and all the players got everything spot on as well. From minute 1 to the 98th, 99th minute, whatever it was. Yeah, they were brilliant. It was there was nothing fluky about it. It wasn't like we were hanging on. Mind you, saying that it would have been interesting if that second goal had been given. It might have got a little bit interesting then, but it wasn't. He was offside, thankfully. But yeah, it was a great win, and it was like performances of earlier in the season where the energy levels were just, everybody's energy levels were just at their peak, and you got the most out of every player on the pitch.
Yes, I agree. Yes, I think it feels like we got our mojo back. It's like everyone. It's like it's like back to the beginning of the season. And maybe because we did so well against Aston Villa at home. I think that remind the players, what they could have done, from the start of the season, But I just hope this kickstart our second half of the season and continue gain some points,
Yeah. What do you think, Eddie? What should the ambition be? I mean, it's a big jump to get into the Champions League places. Obviously, with a brilliant run, it's not completely out of the question. What do you think, though, the ambition should be now for Newcastle?
I actually rang up on Friday. I think anyway. Well, I said as a fan, I'm not expecting European football for the rest of the season. But anything if it's carrying like this, it'll be a bonus. But I think realistically, I think 8, 9, top half of the season for me is a good season, and then obviously we're still on the cup game as well. So for me, I think top half finish solid, and then rebuild again for next season, and then if we can continue with the FA Cup. That I think most fans will be happy with that, So.
Okay. Eddie, thank you very much indeed. Thanks for your call.
I mean, last night was a huge game for both sides because Villa had won, they'd have been 17 points clear of us. That's unsurmountable. Then all of a sudden, that 17 is now only 11. I know, only 11, but...
that's slightly askew there, isn't it?
No.
17.
They were 14 ahead of us. If they had won, they would have been 7.
Your maths isn't askew, mine is.
Yeah.
Okay. What's in your box? Is it a calculator?
Calculator for you. Calculator for you. And look, 11 points is still 4 wins basically. We've got to win 4. They've got to lose 4. But it's an awful lot better than being 17 points behind.
Yeah, and that is that gap is. If Villa have a run like Newcastle have just had, then that is a gap that it is possible between now and the end of the season to close, isn't it? So it's interesting. I'd be interested to hear.
You had me worried down for a minute. I'm thinking.
No, your maths is spot on. No, I was sort of all over the place with that, to be honest with you.